You might imagine palace life as a dream of silk and splendor, a gilded cage perhaps, but still a cage of comfort. You might picture grand halls, whispered secrets among nobles, and a world far removed from your own. And if these stories, these glimpses into a forgotten past, resonate with you, consider subscribing, perhaps leaving a like or a comment below. It truly helps bring these moments to life. But for you, for the thousands like you who truly kept the wheels of royalty turning, that imagined world is a cruel jest. You wake, not to sunlight streaming through stained glass, but to a profound, damp chill that sinks deep into your bones, a cold that seems to have lived in these stones longer than any human. Your eyes, still heavy with the brief, hard sleep, open to an almost absolute darkness. There's only the faintest sliver of gray light, struggling through a high, barred window, barely illuminating the rough-hewn beams above. You are lying on a pallet, a thin layer of straw beneath a scratchy wool blanket that offers little true warmth against the pervasive bite of the pre-dawn air. Each breath you take is visible, a small cloud, fading into the gloom. The scent is what truly greets you first, a thick, heavy mixture of stale rushes covering the floor, the damp earth beneath, and the undeniable, close odor of unwashed bodies, your own and those of the dozens of other sleeping forms crammed into this single vast chamber. You can almost feel the weight of their silent slumber around you, a collective unconsciousness clinging to the last moments of rest. Then, a sound pierces the heavy air. Distant, yet resonant, the first bell of morning, not a gentle chime, but a solemn, deep peal that vibrates through the very floorboards, a summons that demands immediate, unquestioning obedience. It is not a call to prayer, but a call to service, a cold hand reaching through the darkness, to pull you from sleep's fleeting embrace. You feel the rough wool of your tunic against your skin, a familiar, irritating friction. Your muscles ache even before you move, a dull throb that whispers of the long day ahead. Around you, a few others stir, a low groan, a rustle of straw. No one speaks. There's a quiet understanding, a shared burden in the way each body slowly, reluctantly, begins to gather itself. You push yourself up, the cold floorboards biting through your thin garments the moment your feet touch them. It's an awakening not of choice, but of relentless necessity. And as the bells continue their mournful toll, you realize this is not just the start of a day, but the reawakening of a life that is never truly your own. Each morning, it feels like you're reclaiming your body only to surrender it anew. The biting cold of the pre-dawn chamber urges you forward, an invisible hand pushing you from your hard pallet. Your feet, numb and stiff, find the cold floorboards. Around you, the rustling of straw and the low, muffled coughs signify that others, too, are answering the bell's mournful summons. You join the quiet stream of figures, a shuffling procession moving through the darkened corridors, guided by the faintest glimmer of light ahead. That light, signals the shared hearth. It's the closest thing to a beacon in this vast, unyielding structure. As you draw nearer, a subtle shift occurs in the air. A faint wood smoke scent begins to override the pervasive damp and the smell of stale bodies. Then, a ghost of warmth, a gentle pressure against your exposed hands and face. You feel the rough walls of the passage navigating by instinct until the entrance to the servants' hall opens before you. There, in the cavernous space, a massive fireplace roars, a glorious, hungry orange against the gray stone. It is a primal heart, drawing all who serve into its temporary embrace. You approach, extending your chilled hands towards the flames, feeling the precious, fleeting heat seep into your fingertips, thawing the ice that seems to have settled deep within your bones. Others huddle there, too, their faces illuminated by the flickering light, a silent camaraderie born of shared hardship. For a brief stolen moment, the world shrinks to this circle of warmth, the low crackle of burning wood, a brief lullaby before the day's relentless song begins. It is a tiny, precious defiance against the indifferent chill of the castle, but the solace is as transient as the morning mist. A sharp, distinct cough, closer than the distant bells, shatters the fragile peace. It is the sound of authority, a signal for immediate dispersal. Heads snap up, hands drop from the fire's glow. The warmth, so recently a comfort, now feels like a luxury you cannot afford. You feel the unspoken command, the sudden shift in atmosphere, as the collective body of servants disperses with practiced efficiency. There is no time for lingering, no moments to savor. Within seconds you are swept into the river of duty. A swift, authoritative gesture directs you towards the scullery, where the immense pile of yesterday's discarded trenchers and platters awaits. The brief, almost forgotten warmth of the hearth gives way to the icy plunge of water, the rough feel of unglazed pottery, and the endless scrape of hardened food. You are no longer a person seeking comfort, but a cog in a machine, an extension of the palace's insatiable demands. The air is thick with steam and the clatter of ceramic, the low hum of endless tasks. Your hands, still half numb from the morning cold, now ache with the immediate, demanding labor. Each movement is precise, efficient, born of countless repetitions, yet imbued with the palpable weight of expectation. There is no question of rest, no allowance for personal feeling. The palace breathes, and you are its breath, its tireless, unseen engine. You realize how quickly warmth can vanish, how completely one's own desires are consumed by the needs of an unseen power. It is a life lived in fragments, brief moments of self, overshadowed by an immense, unyielding purpose. The air hits you first, a thick, suffocating blanket of heat that makes your lungs catch. It is not the gentle warmth of the hearth you just left, but a churning, aggressive heat, alive with 1,000 competing smells. This is the scent of boiling fat, rendered crisp and heavy, mingling with the sweet decay of offal, the rich, earthy depth of simmering stews, and the acrid tang of burnt drippings. This is the true heart of the palace, not gilded chambers, but a roaring furnace of sustenance, a place where life is cooked and consumed in vast, relentless quantities. You step into the great kitchen, and the sheer scale of the operation is a solemn, overwhelming force. Giant cauldrons bubble on immense hearths, their contents churning with a deep, liquid sound that resonates through the very stone beneath your feet. The cacophony is immediate and relentless. The clang of iron pots against stone, the harsh scrape of metal utensils, the sharp hiss of water hitting hot surfaces, and the guttural shouts of the cooks orchestrating this daily culinary siege. Steam rises in billowing clouds, obscuring faces, making the air heavy and humid, sticking to your skin and clothes. Your task is the scullery, an extension of this fiery realm, but dedicated to the endless purification. You wade into a scene of chaotic order, where towering piles of soiled dishes await. Your hands, still aching from the cold morning wash, are plunged into scalding water, thick with grease and remnants of forgotten meals. The heat, far from being a comfort, now feels like a relentless adversary, stinging your skin. You feel the grit of dried food under your fingernails, the slick, greasy coating on every platter, every bowl. The sheer volume is staggering, an unending flow of dishes that seems to defy the very laws of space and time. Around you, others work with a practiced, almost ritualistic efficiency. There are no wasted movements, no idle hands. Your arms ache, your back begins to protest, but the work must continue, ceaseless. The sweat trickles down your temples, mingling with the steam, blurring your vision. You find yourself moving in a trance-like state, a rhythm of scrape, rinse, stack, repeat. Each dish, once a vessel for royal pleasure, now becomes a testament to your unseen, unyielding labor. The rough feel of the scrubbing brush becomes an extension of your own weary hand, an instrument of endless, unglamorous purification. In this relentless cycle, surrounded by the primal forces of fire and water, you feel less like a person and more like a tool. The world outside these steaming walls, with its nobles and their grand feasts, feels impossibly distant, a fantasy built on the unseen, often painful, efforts of those like you. You exist at the very bedrock of their extravagance, a vital, nameless component in a vast, indifferent machine. And as the day wears on, marked only by the shifting light through the smoke-grimed windows, you realize that this enduring labor, this silent, aching contribution, is your most constant companion. You feel the chill in the air of the receiving passage, a stark contrast to the kitchen's relentless heat. Here, the lingering scent is different, a fading perfume of roasted meats, sweet, spiced wines, and exotic fruits, a ghost of the banquet just concluded in the halls above. You've heard the faint echo of music, of laughter, a distant, muffled revelry that feels utterly detached from your reality. Now, silence descends, broken only by the quiet footsteps of other servants carrying trays. The procession begins, not of fresh, steaming dishes, but of remnants. You stand by the refuse bins, a cavernous wooden trough already beginning to overflow. The first platter arrives, borne by a weary-faced steward. You see it, truly see it, an entire roasted pheasant, barely touched, its golden skin still glistening, slides from the silver tray into the waiting, putrid depths. A half-eaten custard, its delicate crust still intact, loaves of fine white bread, torn but otherwise perfect, join the descent. Each item falls with a soft thud, a quiet testament to incredible abundance. You reach in, your hands already accustomed to the unpleasant task, and begin to sort. The edible scraps, still salvageable, are quickly separated for the lower ranks, for the guards, for yourselves perhaps, if enough remains. But so much is simply discarded. You lift a heavy trencher, thick with the leavings of a feast, a slurry of rich gravies, forgotten vegetables, and gnawed bones. The smell here is no longer enticing, but heavy, beginning its swift turn towards sour and rot. It's the smell of luxury left to decay. The sheer volume is staggering. Dishes upon dishes, each bearing a tale of careless consumption. A mountain of food, enough to feed villages, is reduced to a greasy, burgeoning heap, destined for the pigs or the distant dung heap. You wipe your hands on your rough apron, feeling the sticky residue, the uncomfortable truth. It is a sacrifice, in a way, but not one of necessity or reverence, rather a ritual of power, an assertion of such overwhelming plenty that waste becomes an acceptable, even expected, byproduct. You pause, just for a breath, watching the next tray approach. You consider the countless hands that tilled the soil, hunted the game, baked the bread, all for this fleeting moment of indulgence, this casual, monumental discard. You know the gnawing hunger that often tightens your own gut, the simple longing for a full stomach, a longing that this overflowing trough could assuage 1,000 times over. Yet here it lies, an offering to oblivion, a stark, silent sermon on the vast, unbridgeable chasm between plenty and privation. You are summoned, not by the clamor of bells or the shouts of a scullery master, but by a quiet, insistent tapping at the door of your meager chamber. It is a summons to a different world, a stark contrast to the boiling heat and refuse you've just left behind. You move through hushed corridors, the air growing colder, cleaner, imbued with a faint, exotic sweetness. This is the scent of the inner sanctum, a subtle perfume that speaks of rare woods, dried herbs, and something else, the undeniable, intimate essence of a noble's private space. You enter the chamber, a space vastly different from your own. The light here is soft, filtered through heavy embroidered hangings at the windows, casting a muted glow on polished wood and richly colored tapestries. The air is still, almost heavy, as if holding its breath. And there, At the heart of this quiet opulence waits the lady. She is not yet arrayed in the finery of her station, merely in a shift of fine linen, half reclining on a padded chair. Even in this state, her presence commands a profound, unsettling reverence. Her eyes are half closed, her expression unreadable, a distant queen even in repose. Your hands, still bearing the faint scent of dishwater and stale food, reach for the garments laid out. First, the underthings. Fine linen, almost as soft as silk, cool against your roughened fingertips. Then, the weight begins to build. You lift the gown, an immense cascade of heavy velvet, dyed a deep, imperial blue. It rustles with a whisper like dry leaves in a hidden forest, a sound that speaks of immense wealth and silent power. The fabric is impossibly soft, yet also surprisingly heavy, a burden you must skillfully maneuver around her still form. As you draw the velvet closer, you become acutely aware of the lady's own scent. Beneath the rising sweetness of the expensive perfumes you are about to apply, there is the raw human smell of unwashed skin, a faint, metallic tang of sleep and sweat. It is an unsettling intimacy, this close proximity to her private self, a stark reminder of the fragile human beneath the heavy velvet and the formidable title. You are so close you could almost feel her breath, yet the gulf between your lives remains vast, unbridgeable. Your fingers navigate the intricate laces, the tiny clasps, the elaborate sleeves. There is a moment when your hand must brush her arm, a fleeting, awkward touch that feels like an intrusion. You withdraw it instantly, carefully, as if touching a rare, dangerous jewel. Her eyes do not open, her expression does not change, yet the unspoken power, the potential for displeasure, hangs heavy in the air. Each movement you make is deliberate, precise, a silent plea for swift completion, for invisibility. You feel the scratch of your coarse tunic against your skin, a vivid contrast to the silks and velvets you are arranging around her, a reminder of your place. And as the last clasp is fastened, as the perfume is delicately dabbed, you realize that in this silent ritual of dressing, you are not merely preparing a body, but adorning an icon, a symbol of a world that demands your absolute silent submission. The air in these chambers is different. It's not just the sweet perfume or the lingering scent of warmed wax and expensive leathers. It's the profound stillness, a constant hush absorbing all sound, making even your own footsteps feel like an intrusion. You move through the opulent rooms, a phantom in coarse wool amidst silk and gold. Your task, to dust carved tables, adjust velvet drapes, ensuring every surface gleams with an almost sacred light. Your presence is meant to be as silent and unobtrusive as a shadow. You are always near, always within earshot, yet you are also utterly invisible. This is the strange, unsettling paradox of your position. You learn to perceive without looking, to hear without listening. Your eyes glide over polished wood and ornate patterns, but your peripheral vision catches the nervous flicker of a lady's hand, the swift, almost imperceptible tightening of a lord's jaw during a hushed conversation, the subtle, dismissive wave that sends a lesser noble scurrying. You are an unseen witness to countless minor dramas, to whispered anxieties, to the casual, breathtaking exercise of immense power. There is a chill in this proximity, a profound sense of being perpetually on the very threshold of something significant, a world of consequence, yet always barred from understanding or influencing it. The rules are unwritten, etched only in the subtle shifts of atmosphere and the hardened expectations of generations. You must never meet their gaze directly, never interrupt, never, under any circumstance, acknowledge what you might overhear. A fleeting, sharp glance from a noble, a sudden, cold silence from a gathering. These are commands in themselves, signals for you to retreat, to vanish, to become less than air, to erase your brief presence. You carry a heavy tray of cool, spiced wine, navigating the cluttered, richly furnished antechamber. As the conversations of the courtiers, vibrant and alive moments before, momentarily hush into a low murmur as you pass, you catch fragments, dangerous whispers of looming alliances, of whispered betrayals, of vast sums of gold quietly changing hands, of plots unfolding beneath a veneer of courtly grace. Your mind, though trained since childhood to disregard, cannot fully unhear. The knowledge settles within you, a silent, growing weight no scrubbing can remove. You know of their triumphs, their petty jealousies, their secret fears, their hidden vices that fester just beneath the silken surface. You see the true face beneath the painted masks, the weary sigh behind the forced smile of diplomacy. It is an intimate glimpse into the very hearts of those who rule, a terrifying privilege. But with this insidious insight comes the chilling, paralyzing realization of your absolute powerlessness. These are not your secrets to share, not your battles to join. Your very survival depends on your absolute silence, on your ability to process these dangerous truths without a flicker of recognition, without a betraying tremor. You are a silent fixture in their gilded cage, an invisible observer caught within its opulent confines. The very luxury that surrounds them, the velvet and the gold, feels less like true freedom and more like a different, more elaborate kind of confinement, even for them. And for you, moving through the periphery of their grand, perilous lives, you are held captive not by visible chains, but by the overwhelming burden of knowledge, by the unspoken oath of your servitude. It is a profound, isolating weight, this silent possession of truths that can never be spoken, a truth that binds you, inexorably, to a fate you cannot escape. You are a silent witness, a living tomb for the secrets of the powerful, eternally present, eternally absent. The scent arrives first, long before you even turn the corner of the passage. It is not merely unpleasant, it is a physical blow, a dense, suffocating wall that presses against your lungs, making your breath catch. A complex, sickening tapestry of human waste, sharp with ammonia, heavy with decay, and warm with the lingering heat of bodies. This is the true, hidden pulse of the palace, the unsung, visceral truth behind its gilded facade. You brace yourself, a silent, almost ritualistic preparation, as you step into the designated, dimly lit alcove. Here, lined against the rough stone walls, stand the commode pails. They're made of dark wood, some with ornate brass bands, betraying their origins from the private chambers of the nobility. Yet within, they all contain the same undeniable effluent of human existence. The air here shimmers with the stench, a living thing that seems to cling to the very fabric of your tunic, to invade your nostrils, your throat, your very being. Your task is to gather them. One by one, you reach for the heavy pails. You feel the unexpected weight, the sloshing within, a sickening shift of contents that threatens to spill with every movement. Your grip tightens, knuckles white, as you lift the first, then the second. The sheer volume is what strikes you, a quiet, horrifying testament to the constant, unseen needs of so many high-born individuals. Each pail represents a moment of private release, casually left for you to manage, a burden transferred from silk to rough wool. You begin your slow, deliberate journey through a series of narrow, forgotten passages, each step measured, each breath shallow. The clinking of the metal handles, the soft, nauseating slosh of the contents, these are the only sounds in this grim procession. You pass no one of consequence here. This is the realm of the invisible, where the most fundamental, humiliating tasks are performed. The thought, unspoken but ever present, is that you are not merely carrying waste, but bearing a portion of the shame that no noble would ever touch. Finally, you reach the designated midden pit, a gaping maw in the earth, far from the polished courtyards. The reek here is exponentially worse, a permanent cloud hovering over the dark, churning depths. With a grunt, you carefully tip the first pail, its vile contents emptying with a gurgling rush. It is a sacrifice of dignity, a complete surrender to the lowest echelon of human service. You feel the spray, a fine mist of unspeakable matter, on your hands, perhaps even on your face, though you quickly turn away. There is no time for revulsion, only for efficiency. You repeat the action, pail after pail, until the last is emptied, its interior wiped with a coarse rag, made ready for its next collection. Your hands are raw, your head aches, and the smell seems to have permanently permeated your very skin. You know this is not an occasional duty. It is a constant, unending tide, as predictable and relentless as the changing of the moon. It is a daily reaffirmation of your place, a silent, humiliating ritual of service that underpins the very cleanliness and grandeur of the palace. And in this base act, you are reminded that beneath all the silks and crowns, the royal blood and noble titles, there is only flesh, and its undeniable, universal needs. The pervasive stench of human waste, though momentarily banished from your direct task, never truly leaves the air of the palace's lower passages. It lingers, a constant companion, a damp, heavy cloak that suggests more than mere refuse. It speaks of illness, of bodies fighting unseen battles, of a persistent vulnerability that permeates these ancient stones. You feel it in the chill that clings to your own skin, the slight tremor in your hands, the dull ache behind your eyes that never truly recedes. You move through the sprawling network of service corridors, your senses heightened, not by sight, but by the subtle currents of the air itself. Here, in the servants' quarters, a new, more insidious scent often mixes with the stale rushes and unwashed bodies, the metallic tang of fevered sweat, the cloying sweetness of lingering sickness, the faint, disturbing hint of damp linen from someone too weak to rise. You hear the shallow, rattling coughs at night, the sudden, sharp retching in a distant corner. These are the daily psalms of the unseen. The truth is, cleanliness, as you might understand it, is a rare luxury. The grand halls above may be swept and dusted, their air perfumed, but down here, where life truly happens, where bodies are pushed to their limits, the invisible threads of disease weave through the very fabric of existence. You see the pale faces, the sunken eyes, the sudden, alarming flush on a fellow servant's cheek. You watch them work until they can no longer stand, their sacrifice quiet, unspoken. They are not heroes of battle, but heroes of endurance, battling an enemy that knows no armor, no shield. It is a silent, unending war, fought by those like you. Who carries the clothes of the sick to be boiled and lie? Who tends to the delirious, changing their fouled bedding, risking contagion with every touch? Who cleans the vomit from the flagstones, the blood from a sudden injury, the silent, terrifying evidence of a fever that has claimed another soul? It is always you, or someone just like you. The tasks are repulsive, demanding, often met with a grim silence, a stoic acceptance. There is no glory in emptying chamber pots, no fame in scrubbing the stains of disease from forgotten corners. Yet without this relentless unseen labor, the very life of the palace, and by extension the lives of its high-born occupants, would swiftly collapse into a mire of pestilence. History will not record your name, nor the names of countless others who performed these most fundamental, most essential services. There will be no statues erected for the bearers of burdens, no verses sung for those who faced the constant threat of infection with nothing but rough hands and a grim resolve. But in the quiet, brutal rhythm of your daily existence, as you face the hidden horrors and ensure the continued, albeit fragile health of this immense, indifferent edifice, you understand a profound truth. You are the unseen foundation, the silent guardian against chaos, an unsung hero whose very sacrifice allows another world, a brighter, more celebrated one, to briefly shine. And in that, there is a quiet, terrifying reverence for the sheer will to endure. You feel it before you see it, a profound, earthy warmth, a stark contrast to the palace's damp stone that washes over you the moment you approach the stable archway. It carries with it the deep, undeniable scent of dried hay and rich, fermenting manure, a primal aroma that speaks of animal strength and the relentless cycle of life. Beyond the arch, the rhythmic stomp of hooves against packed earth thrums through the ground, a steady, powerful beat that is almost hypnotic, the pulse of a different kind of palace life. You step into the cavernous stable, a dimly lit world of timber and stone, where immense shadows dance on the walls, cast by flickering lanterns. Here, the air is thick with the scent of horse sweat, a powerful, musky essence that mingles with the sweetness of fresh straw. The horses stand in their stalls, vast, powerful forms, their eyes gleaming in the low light, their breath misting in the cooler pockets of air. They are magnificent, these creatures, beasts of war and status, symbols of the very power you serve. There is a quiet reverence in their presence, a raw, untamed strength, held in check by the confines of their stalls, and by the unseen hands that tend to them. Your task begins with the mucking out. You grasp the heavy wooden pitchfork, its handle worn smooth by countless hands. The shovel bites into the compacted straw, heavy with urine and droppings. Each lift is a strain on your back, your shoulders, a continuous, repetitive labor that forces a deep, rhythmic breathing. You breathe in the dust, the sharp ammonia, the damp earthiness, feeling the strain in every muscle. It is a humble, unending ritual of purification, making clean the space for these powerful creatures, an offering of your own physical exertion. The rhythmic scrape of the shovel, the dull thud of discarded straw into the barrow, becomes a silent song of servitude. Then, you move to the grooming. You approach a horse, its flank, a gleaming canvas of muscle, its head held high. You feel the warmth emanating from its vast body, the subtle tremble of its skin beneath your curry comb. The brushstrokes are firm, steady, sweeping away the loose hair, smoothing the coat until it shines like polished mahogany. You are close to this power, close enough to feel the thunder of its breath, to hear the soft snort of impatience. A sudden shift, a stomp of a hoof, could crush bone, yet you remain, focused, respectful. This is a delicate dance, a negotiation of dominance and trust, where your silent service acknowledges their majestic might. In these moments, bathed in the earthy warmth, surrounded by the quiet power of these animals, you realize that your purpose here is not just labor, but a silent form of devotion. You are maintaining the very sinews of royal strength, preparing these beasts for journeys, for battle, for display. Your aching hands, your dust-filled lungs, are part of a continuous, unseen sacrifice, tending to the tangible symbols of a grandeur that extends far beyond human measure. And as the last gleam is brushed onto a coat, you feel the profound, unyielding cycle of life and service continue, a solemn rhythm that anchors this vast, intricate world. You feel the powerful rhythm of the horse's breath against your hand, a deep, warm exhalation as you smooth its glistening coat. The animal shifts, a subtle tremor of muscle beneath your touch, but remains still, a quiet understanding passing between you. It is a connection forged not of words, but of countless hours of patient care, of shared moments in the quiet solitude of the stable. You know the texture of its mane, the subtle twitch of its ear, the depth in its dark, intelligent eye. This bond, raw and elemental, feels truer, perhaps, than many of the fleeting, formal interactions you have with the humans in this palace. Then comes the harnessing. You reach for the heavy leather straps, thick and strong, softened by oil and use. The buckles gleam, polished to a dull shine. You drape the bridle over the horse's head, feeling the immense power contained within its jaw, the potential energy ready to be directed. Each strap you fasten, each buckle you secure, is a silent acknowledgement of the beast's strength and the purpose it serves. This is not mere adornment. It is the preparation for exertion, for a journey, for bearing the weight of royalty. You stand back, observing as the other stable hands guide the horses towards the waiting carriage. It is a magnificent contraption, all lacquered wood and gilded trim. Its wheels taller than a man. You feel the weight of it, even from a distance, the sheer mass that these animals will pull with effortless grace. It is a performance of power, a public display of dominion, and these beasts are the silent, formidable engines of that spectacle. Their straining muscles, their rhythmic hoofbeats, will echo the status of those within the carriage, transforming mere transport into a moving symbol of noble might. But beyond the daily journeys, you understand their deeper purpose, a more ancient, terrifying role. You see the sheer, untamed power in their flanks, the raw force in their legs, and you know these are the same creatures that carry knights into battle, that thunder across fields of war, instruments of destruction, or of glorious victory. The same care you render each morning ensures that they are ready for whatever demands their masters might place upon them, from a ceremonial procession to the bloody chaos of a distant conflict. Their strength is not their own. It is a force harnessed, directed, utterly subservient to the will of the nobility. As the carriage finally rolls away, its rumble fading into the distance, you are left in the quiet, empty, stable, the lingering scent of horse and leather in the air. You realize these majestic animals are both revered and exploited, their formidable power a direct extension of the authority they serve. Just as your own life is bound to the palace, to its rigid demands and unseen burdens, so too are these magnificent creatures. Their strength, their beauty, their very existence are not truly their own. They are the living, breathing symbols of a greater power, held captive, much like you, by the intricate, unyielding structures of royalty. And in their silent obedience, you see a reflection of your own fate, a shared destiny of purposeful servitude. The chill that seeps into your bones here is unlike any other. It is the deep, ancient cold of stone, a profound frigidity that seems to absorb all warmth, all light, and all sound that is not its own. You feel it immediately, a piercing sensation through your coarse tunic, as you are ushered into the chapel, a place where the air itself feels consecrated, heavy with an almost oppressive holiness. The first breath you draw here is thick, cloying, yet strangely comforting. It is the heavy, sweet scent of frankincense, mingling with the older, dustier aroma of aged wood and beeswax. It hangs in the air like a visible haze, an aromatic cloud meant to elevate the spirit, but which in this moment merely adds to the solemn weight pressing down upon you. It coats your tongue, settles in your throat, a constant reminder of the ritual unfolding. Before you, the vast space is swallowed by shadows, pierced only by the dancing, flickering flames of countless candles. Their golden light casts long, wavering shapes across the vaulted ceiling, illuminating gilded altars and stern, painted saints whose eyes seem to follow your every move. The light itself feels alive, breathing, lending an unearthly glow to the faces of the nobles gathered, their rich robes a tapestry of deep hues against the muted stone. They are positioned at the front, on cushioned kneelers, their expressions a mixture of genuine devotion and practiced solemnity. You are far to the back, among the other servants, your place on the bare, unforgiving flagstones. Then the sound begins. Not speech, but a low, haunting chant, rising from the robed figures at the altar. It is a slow, resonant chorus of Latin, words you do not fully comprehend, yet their cadence is deeply unsettling, almost mournful. The voices interweave, echoing off the high stone arches, creating a symphony that feels both eternal and deeply human, a plea whispered into the vastness. It speaks of sacrifice, of unseen powers, of a divine will that dictates all. The sound washes over you, sometimes rhythmic, sometimes drawn out in a single, sustained note that seems to vibrate through the very marrow of your bones, evoking a primal awe, a quiet fear of the unknown. You drop to your knees, the impact sharp and unforgiving against the cold stone. Around you, others follow suit, a ripple of movement. Your head bows, not entirely in piety, but in obedience, in the unspoken understanding of your place. The hours stretch, marked only by the shifting light of the candles, the endless drone of the chants, and the increasing ache in your knees, in your back, in your very spirit. Your gaze, kept carefully downwards, traces the cold patterns on the stone floor. It is a time of forced stillness, of quiet endurance, where your physical discomfort becomes a form of unwitting penance. In this prolonged act of submission, you sense a profound truth. That faith, like the power of the royals you serve, demands not just belief, but an outward display of unwavering devotion. You are a silent participant in a grand performance, an extra in a sacred play, where your very presence, your humble posture, adds to the majesty of those who truly own this sacred space. And as the frankincense continues its heavy ascent, you realize that even in prayer, even in the house of the divine, your body and your time are not your own. You are a sacrifice, a silent offering, in this elaborate theater of reverence. The cold stone bites into your knees, a persistent, unyielding pressure that anchors you to this moment, to this solemn space. Your back aches, a dull throb that speaks of countless hours bent over tasks, of endless, repetitive labor. Yet, here, in the dim, incense-laden air of the chapel, your body is momentarily stilled, compelled to stillness by the force of ritual, by the unspoken command of piety. Around you, the deep, haunting chants continue their ancient melody, a wave of sound that speaks of eternal mysteries, of divine judgment, of a salvation that promises an end to all earthly suffering. You hear the words, or rather, you feel their weight. They speak of a realm beyond this one, a place where the weary find rest, where the humble are exalted, where every sorrow is wiped clean. It is a powerful, intoxicating promise, a balm for a spirit that knows profound exhaustion. For a brief, fleeting moment, your mind can drift, ascending with the curling smoke of frankincense, escaping the cold, the ache, the relentless demands of your tangible world. You imagine a peace so complete, so profound, that it erases the memory of every scrubbed floor, every heavy pail, every whispered insult. But the body, that stubborn, earthbound vessel, refuses to fully relinquish its hold. The pain in your knees sharpens, a physical tether to the flagstones, to this present moment. The chill of the stone reminds you of the damp straw that awaits in your quarters, of the icy water of the scullery, of the never-ending tasks that will greet the dawn. The promise of salvation, while ethereal and grand, feels distant, a shimmering mirage across a vast, unyielding desert of duty. The chants, for all their reverence, cannot mend your calloused hands or ease the perpetual knot of fatigue in your shoulders. Here, in this space between spiritual promise and crushing reality, a peculiar solace begins to form. It is not the solace of escape, but of enduring. You look, not up at the gilded ceiling, but at the bowed heads of the other servants around you. Their faces, when you catch a glimpse, are etched with the same silent weariness, the same quiet resignation. Yet, in their shared stillness, in their collective posture of humility, there is a profound, unspoken strength. You are not alone in this silent suffering, not alone in holding onto a distant hope. The fear that permeates your days, the fear of displeasing a master, of failing a task, of the ceaseless, grinding poverty, is momentarily softened by the gravity of this sacred space. Here, amidst the solemn prayers, you are reminded that even the mightiest Lord must one day face the same ultimate judgment, the same eternal reckoning. The vast gap between your station and theirs seems, for an instant, to narrow, subsumed by the overarching presence of the divine. This thought, quiet and almost dangerous, is a tiny internal flicker against the immensity of your daily servitude. As the final resounding chant fades, and the rustle of robes signals the end of the service, you feel the familiar dread of returning to your duties. But something has shifted. The promise of eternal reward, while still a shadow, now feels less like an impossible dream and more like a quiet anchor. It is a solace that lives not in escaping the chains of your earthly service, but in finding the quiet, profound strength to endure them, knowing that this arduous journey, this unceasing sacrifice, might, in the end, lead to a different kind of freedom, a rest that no earthly lord can deny. The cold hits you first, not the damp chill of the morning, nor the penetrating frigidity of chapel stone, but a wet, visceral bite that clamps onto your exposed hands the moment you pass through the rough-hewn doorway. It is the cold of ceaseless water, perpetually drawn from icy wells, seeping into the very air of the washhouse. This is a cold that aches, that stiffens joints, a constant, unyielding antagonist. Then comes the smell. It is sharp, acrid, an almost physical blow to your senses. The harsh, biting tang of lye, mixed with the faint, unmistakable odor of stale urine, the primary agent for breaking down the palace's grime. This combination hangs heavy, dense, clinging to the damp walls and the very threads of your tunic. It invades your nostrils, settling in your throat, a constant, unpleasant companion that speaks of raw chemistry and the hidden, unsavory processes necessary for maintaining outward grandeur. You step further into the cavernous, poorly lit space. Immense wooden tubs stand like silent sentinels, filled to the brim with gray, churning water and the heavy, sodden mass of laundry. These are the clothes of the palace, not merely your rough wools, but the fine linens from the noble chambers, the silks that brush against royal skin, the intricately embroidered garments that proclaim status. All reduced, here, to a common heap of filth, awaiting arduous purification. Your hands, already calloused from countless tasks, plunge into the freezing water. The shock is immediate, a numbing pain that radiates up your arms. You grasp a heavy garment, perhaps a lord's tunic, now stiff with dried sweat and dirt. The fabric, once soft, feels impossibly weighty, waterlogged and resistant. Your fingers, quickly losing sensation, work at a rhythm born of necessity. You slosh, you rub, you twist. Then the rhythmic, dull thud begins as you lift the heavy, dripping fabric and pound it against the rough washing board. Each strike sends vibrations up your arms, a jarring impact that settles deep in your shoulders, in your aching back. The monotony is relentless. Pound, rub, ring. Pound, rub, ring. The cold numbs, then burns, leaving your skin raw, chapped, and perpetually damp. Water splashes your face, trickles down your neck, soaking into your clothes, making your rough wool feel even heavier, colder. Around you, other figures perform the same silent, punishing ritual, their faces grim, their movements a testament to sheer, unwavering endurance. No one speaks. The effort consumes all breath, all thought. The sound of their pounding joins yours, a chorus of ceaseless labor, echoing off the high, damp walls. You look down at the gray water, the swirling detritus, and then at the garments, slowly regaining a semblance of cleanliness, of their original hue. You are transforming filth into purity, dirt into dignity. This unseen, unglamorous toil is the very foundation of the palace's pristine facade, the silent, aching sacrifice that permits silks to gleam and linens to whisper freshness. It is a profound, almost primal act, this unending battle against grime, a testament to the anonymous hands that ensure the illusion of effortless nobility endures. And as the hours stretch, marked only by the growing stiffness in your limbs and the fading light, you understand that this physical suffering, this raw exposure to cold and chemical, is your daily offering to the intricate, demanding world of royalty. Your very skin is a parchment, etched with the story of unwavering servitude. The biting chill of the wash house still clings to your skin, but now a different task begins. Your raw hands, perpetually aching, reach not for coarse wool or heavy linen, but for fabrics of exquisite delicacy. You lift a tunic of fine silk, then a gown of heavy velvet, its deep crimson hue a testament to countless hours of dyeing. The contrast is stark, almost painful. Your own rough tunic, stained and worn, feels like a universe away from the soft, almost living texture of these garments. The air here is thick with the scent of wet wool and simmering lye, but when you handle these precious pieces, a faint perfume still clings to them. The sweet, floral essence of a noble's private chamber, mingling with the subtle, earthy scent of their skin, now caught in the folds of the fabric. You scrutinize each piece, your gaze trained to seek out the subtle imperfections, the hidden marks of a life lived far above your own. Here, on the heavy velvet, you discover a faint, almost invisible trace of dried wine. On the shimmering silk, a tiny smudge of soot from a distant fire, or perhaps a faint smear of wax from a candle-lit hall. These are the stains of status, the silent evidence of a grandeur you can only service, never partake in. The cleaning is meticulous, almost reverent. You work with a fear that tightens your chest, a profound awareness of the value held within your damp, chapped hands. Each embroidered thread must be carefully brushed, each delicate lace protected from the harsh bite of the lye. You dip the silk into lukewarm water, not the freezing torrent you endured earlier, and gently, with practiced movements, coax the dirt from its fibers. There is no pounding here, no rough scrubbing, only the gentle, persistent pressure of fingers, erasing the traces of wear without marring the fabric itself. You feel the slow, satisfying lift of the grime, watching the color of the water darken as the impurities surrender. You iron the silken panels with a heavy, heated block, the steam hissing softly, smoothing every crease, every fold. The fabric warms beneath your touch, becoming pliable, almost alive again. Each garment is restored to its pristine state, a perfect illusion of untouched beauty, ready once more to adorn a body that will glide through halls where your presence is barely acknowledged. You know these garments, these symbols of power and privilege, intimately. You touch them, care for them, restore them, yet you will never feel their weight on your own shoulders, never know the rustle of such fine cloth against your own skin. As you meticulously fold the last perfectly smoothed velvet, its rich color now vibrant and unblemished, you feel a strange emptiness. It is as if, in the act of erasing the stains from their world, you have inadvertently polished away a part of your own. Your identity, your personal thoughts, your very essence, seems to diminish with each perfection achieved. You are the unseen hand, making flawless the symbols of another's grandeur, a silent, necessary sacrifice. And in this endless cycle of cleansing, you realize that your purpose is to disappear, to make their world pristine, leaving no trace of the arduous, anonymous labor that made it so. You are a ghost, moving through a tapestry of luxury, a living tool in their grand design, your own self slowly, subtly, becoming as spotless and invisible as the air around them. The cold here is a living entity, an unseen predator that stalks the deepest hours of the night. It sinks not merely into your skin, but into the very marrow of your bones, a piercing, absolute chill that makes your teeth ache. This is the cold of ancient, impenetrable stone, a profound silence, broken only by the whispers of the wind, as it threads through unseen cracks and distant, unglazed windows. You stand your watch in a high, narrow passage, a silent sentinel in a world that sleeps, a world you must protect. The air itself carries a subtle metallic tang, a dampness that suggests not only moisture but the slow, inevitable decay of iron and stone. It catches in your throat with each slow, deliberate breath. The vast palace, once a symphony of distant laughter and hushed conversation, is now a cavern of echoing stillness. Each shadow seems deeper, each corner more formidable, in this profound darkness that even the occasional, flickering lantern cannot fully penetrate. Your eyes, strained from the day's relentless labor, now seek movement in the static gloom, patterns in the shifting shadows that could betray an intrusion. Then, from far beyond the palace walls, a sound rises, a haunting, primal call. The distant, mournful howls of dogs carried on the frigid night air. It is a sound that evokes a profound sense of isolation, of the wild, untamed world that presses against the very boundaries of this stronghold. It is a reminder that even within these formidable walls, a fragile barrier exists, separating order from chaos, safety from peril. The sound lingers, then fades, leaving behind an even deeper silence, pregnant with imagined threats. Your rough tunic, thin against the unforgiving cold, offers scant protection. You shift your weight, a slow, almost imperceptible movement, trying to ease the persistent ache in your legs. Hours stretch, an endless procession of darkness. Each minute an eternity, the profound weight of your duty presses down upon you. One moment of inattention, a single lapse in vigilance, could spell disaster not just for you, but for the sleeping nobles, for the very legacy they represent. The fear is a cold knot in your stomach, a constant companion. It is the fear of intrusion, of a shadowy figure slipping through a forgotten gate, of the sudden, jarring clang of steel. But it is also the fear of neglect, of failing in this most crucial, most unforgiving task. You are the unseen guardian, the forgotten shield, standing watch over a world that is completely oblivious to your vigil. The cold, the isolation, the constant, gnawing fear, these are the sacrifices you make, the tribute you pay to ensure the gilded repose of others. Your presence here, in the heart of this silent, sleeping behemoth, is a testament to the unyielding demands of your service, a silent, solitary act of profound, unwavering devotion. And as the first, almost imperceptible lightning of the eastern sky hints at a distant dawn, you realize that this enduring watch, this lonely communion with the cold stone and the whispering wind, is the very essence of your unseen existence. The cold deepens, seeming to solidify around you as the hours crawl. Your eyelids feel impossibly heavy, a constant, burning drag against your eyes. Each blink is an effort, a momentary surrender to the profound, overwhelming exhaustion that seeks to claim you. It is a battle fought not with weapons, but with the very fabric of your being, a desperate struggle against the primal urge to simply collapse into the unyielding stone. The world around you begins to blur, the edges of shadows softening, then sharpening into grotesque, imagined forms. The flickering light of your lantern seems to swell and recede, playing tricks on your strained vision. You hear sounds that might not be real, the faint whisper of a distant conversation, the rustle of robes that were not there a moment before. Your mind, starved of true rest, cycles through fractured images of the day's labor. The icy water of the wash-house, the steaming kitchen, the opulent silks, all dissolving into a confusing, restless tapestry. Time itself becomes a fluid, cruel entity. Has an hour passed, or merely a minute? The difference feels immense, yet utterly indistinguishable. You watch the slow, agonizing journey of a single star across the narrow slit of sky visible from your high post, its glacial movement, a mocking mirror to your own internal stasis. The palace, which during the day pulses with 1,000 hidden lives, now feels like a vast, breathing beast, its silence more unsettling than any clamor. You imagine the royals in their soft, warm beds, their sleep undisturbed, their dreams untroubled, their safety ensured by your silent, agonizing vigilance. This profound contrast is a heavy weight. They rest in a slumber of secure ignorance, their lives protected by walls, and by the unwavering presence of those like you. There are no alarms to sound themselves, no complex mechanisms to detect the slightest intrusion, only human eyes, human ears, and a human will pushed beyond its natural limits. You are the fragile living circuit of their protection, and the cost is measured in the very essence of your wakefulness, in the slow, relentless erosion of your own senses. A sudden, sharp shudder runs through you, a brief, terrifying lurch that pulls you back from the precipice of sleep. The cold bites deeper, reinvigorating your senses, if only for a moment. You clench your jaw, tasting the metallic tang of fatigue. The air, thin and cold, seems to carry the echoes of your own waning strength. In this long, solitary watch, where the line between night and day, between consciousness and oblivion, becomes perilously thin, you become acutely aware of the sacrifice. It is not just the sacrifice of sleep, but the gradual surrender of your own self, your thoughts, your very identity, to the relentless, impersonal demands of the palace. You are no longer merely a person but a function, a living, breathing cog in a vast machinery of security. And as the night slowly, reluctantly begins its retreat, leaving behind the first faint promise of dawn, you realize that true rest, an uninterrupted, restorative sleep, is a luxury so profound it feels almost mythical, a dream reserved for those who never stand guard. The world keeps turning, and you, the unsleeping sentinel, are the price of its turning. The smell is a deep, Ferris punch, striking you with an almost physical force the moment you cross the threshold. It is the raw, unmistakable scent of freshly slaughtered meat, heavy with the metallic tang of blood, the musky warmth of muscle, and the faint, unsettling sweetness of visceral fluids. This is not the fragrant air of the kitchen, nor the sterile cold of the chapel. This is the charnel house, a realm of profound transformation, where life is meticulously dismantled to fuel the grandeur above. You step into the vast, cavernous space, dimly lit by a few sputtering tallow lamps that cast long, grotesque shadows. Hanging from immense hooks, great carcasses sway gently, silent titans of flesh, their forms stark against the rough stone walls. Here, the profound silence is broken by a relentless percussive symphony of brutality. The harsh, ringing clang of a cleaver against bone reverberates through the air, followed by the dull thud of sections of meat hitting the heavy wooden block. Each sound is a solemn, deliberate punctuation, marking the progress of this grim, essential work. Your eyes, accustomed to the soft fabrics and polished surfaces of the upper palace, now absorb the visceral reality before you. Knives, honed to a razor's edge, glint ominously in the flickering light, extensions of the butcher's powerful, efficient hands. You feel the cold dampness of the stone floor beneath your rough boots, slick with an unseen film that hints at blood and melted fat. The air is heavy, humid, yet permeated by a chill that settles deep within your chest, a stark contrast to the exertion of the men around you. Your task is to prepare. You grasp a sturdy, bone-handled knife, its weight familiar in your palm. Before you, a section of meat, immense and unyielding. You feel the cold resistance of the flesh as your blade begins its work, separating muscle from bone, sinew from fat. It is a meticulous, almost ritualistic process, requiring precision and an unblinking focus. The sheer scale of it is overwhelming. This is not for a single meal, but for hundreds of mouths, for a palace that consumes with an insatiable appetite. Each precise cut, each strong pull, is a small act of violence, a necessary step in the translation of raw life into royal sustenance. Around you, others work with a grim, practiced efficiency, their faces set, their movements powerful and swift. A butcher heaves a massive carcass onto a table, its heavy impact shaking the very floor. You see the glint of sweat on their brows, the steady, rhythmic flexing of their arms. This is a brutal ballet, a somber performance of strength and skill, essential to the daily operation of the kingdom. The work is relentless, demanding, a ceaseless transformation. In this stark, visceral chamber, where the line between life and sustenance is so starkly drawn, you feel a profound reverence. It is not for the act itself, but for the cycle it represents. Life taken to sustain life, sacrifice to fuel power. You are an unseen participant in this ancient, necessary ritual. Your aching hands part of the hidden machinery that allows the illusion of effortless abundance to persist above. And as the hours slowly pass, marked by the steady sounds of cleaving and cutting, you realize that this brutal reality, this constant interaction with the raw essence of existence, is the very foundation upon which the glittering, delicate world of royalty is built. You still feel the cold, damp air of the butchery, a deeper chill now, even as the day progresses. The raw, metallic tang of blood clings to your garments, permeating the very air you breathe. Your hands, raw and aching from the continuous labor, are stained with a deep crimson that seems impossible to truly wash away. Before you, the massive wooden blocks bear the scars of countless blows, silent witnesses to the daily, brutal ballet of preparation. The great carcasses that hung earlier are now transformed. Piles of neatly portioned meat, once a living, breathing animal, await their final journey into the palace's myriad kitchens. You reach for a heavy wooden tray, laden with cuts destined for a royal banquet. The flesh is cold, firm beneath your fingertips, yet it still carries the faint, musky warmth of recent life. Each step through the winding, utilitarian passages, far from the polished grand halls, is a silent testament to the unseen journey of sustenance. You might imagine a royal feast appearing effortlessly, a magical bounty spread by unseen hands. But you know the truth, the grim reality. You recall the sound of splintered bones, the sharp suture whack of a cleaver against bone echoing through the chill air, the relentless, precise violence of knives honed to a razor's edge. You remember the sudden, profound stillness of a freshly killed animal, the silent taking of life that precedes every succulent roast, every rich stew. This is the foundation of their feasts, a bedrock of blood and arduous labor, meticulously hidden beneath fragrant herbs, sweet wines, and elegant presentation. When the nobles dine, they see only the gleaming platters, the roasted golden skin, the tender flesh. They taste only the subtle spices and the chef's skill. They remain blissfully ignorant of the damp stone floors, the powerful, straining muscles of the butchers, the constant cold, the visceral truth of death. The sophisticated table, laden with delicacies, is a world away from the steaming entrails, the discarded organs, the messy, unglamorous byproducts of a life transformed. All the unseemly realities are meticulously scrubbed, swept, and carried away by hands like yours, vanishing into the palace's unseen arteries. Your hands, once covered in the soil of the earth, then the grime of their discarded dishes, now bear the indelible marks of this profound, fundamental violence. It is a daily, necessary sacrifice performed in the shadows so that light and splendor may shine upon their banquets. This ceaseless transformation from living creature to delectable dish is a constant, grinding effort, a silent testament to the sheer scale of royal consumption. It makes you consider how far removed the world of silk and song is from this chilling primal truth. A distance that has only grown larger, more opaque, with the passage of centuries. So much of the world's abundance now arrives in such sanitized forms, without the direct, visceral encounter with its source. Here in the heart of the palace's hidden workings, you are perpetually confronted with the raw, undeniable cost of such grandeur, the profound, unseen sacrifice that underpins every moment of royal comfort. This is the quiet violence that ensures their peace, the hidden suffering that provides their luxury. The air that embraces you here is a profound, cleansing balm, a stark contrast to the stale confines of palace interiors. It is the rich, undeniable scent of damp earth, stirred by recent rain or morning dew, mingled with the sweet, ethereal perfume of blooming flowers. You breathe it in deeply, a momentary respite, a gentle awakening of senses dulled by lie and smoke. Yet, even this beauty holds a silent, demanding weight. You step into the royal gardens, a vast, living tapestry of ordered nature. Here, the world bursts forth in vibrant greens and audacious colors, a masterpiece of cultivated perfection. Hedges stand meticulously trimmed, their lines as sharp as a noble's wit. Flower beds explode with blossoms, each petal a tiny, perfect jewel. The drone of bees, a soft, insistent hum, fills the air, weaving through the rustle of leaves, a gentle symphony of industrious life. Your hands, however, are not here to admire. They are here to toil. You kneel, feeling the cool, dark earth press against your rough trousers. Your fingers plunge into the soil, seeking out the unwanted. You pull at stubborn weeds, their roots clinging with surprising tenacity. A constant, insidious threat to the garden's impeccable facade. You feel the grit of the soil under your fingernails, the small, sharp stones that prick your skin. Then comes the sting. Your bare forearm brushes against a patch of nettles, hidden beneath a rose bush. A sudden, burning fire erupts on your skin, a sharp, immediate pain that reminds you of the wild, untamed forces that constantly seek to reclaim the sculpted landscape. You flinch but quickly suppress the reaction. There is no time for such weakness. You reach for a thorny vine, its sharp barbs tearing at your skin, drawing a thin line of blood. The pain is a quiet, constant companion here, a reminder that even beauty demands a tribute. The sun beats down, or the rain mists, but the work never ceases. Each weed pulled, each fading blossom plucked, each stray leaf cleared, is an act of relentless vigilance. The demand for perfection is absolute. Every surface must be pristine, every bloom vibrant, every path swept clean. The garden is not a place of wild growth. It is a meticulously crafted stage, a living jewel designed to reflect the unwavering power and aesthetic control of its royal owners. You pause, just for a breath, your back aching, your hands raw. You look at the grandeur around you, the geometric precision, the bursts of color, the serene beauty that calms the noble eye, and you realize that this splendor, this illusion of effortless grace, is built upon countless hours of your invisible labor. You are the unseen hand that wages war against nature's wild tendencies, the quiet force that ensures this perfect, cultivated world endures. And as the sun begins its slow descent, painting the sky with hues as rich as the flowers you tend, you understand that this garden, in its profound, demanding beauty, is a testament to an unending sacrifice. You are a silent participant in this ancient ritual, offering your aching body, your raw hands, your very essence, to maintain an impossible, fleeting perfection. Each thorn that pricks you, each sting of nettle, is a small, quiet offering to the grandeur of royalty. The sun, a benevolent hand after the cold dampness, finally breaks through the shifting clouds, its warmth a profound, unexpected blessing on your aching shoulders. You straighten slowly, the muscles in your back protesting, but for a stolen moment, you allow yourself to look. The air, still rich with damp earth, now carries the heady perfume of 1,000 blossoms, a sweet, overwhelming fragrance that speaks of life and boundless beauty. Before you, the royal gardens truly reveal themselves, a panorama of breathtaking artistry. Expanses of vibrant green lawn, meticulously cut, roll out like a carpet of emerald velvet, leading the eye to sculpted hedges that form intricate patterns, a living maze of geometric perfection. Roses, their petals like spun silk, bloom in opulent clusters, their colors a riot against the deep foliage. A gentle fountain plays in the distance, its soft splash a soothing counterpoint to the drone of bees you now hear, a peaceful hum of industry. You feel the rough, splintered handle of your hoe still warm in your hands. The callus is a testament to the ceaseless effort that birthed this paradise. These hands which cleared thorns and pulled nettles now rest, if only for a few breaths, on the soil they shaped. You trace the delicate curve of a rose petal with your thumb, its softness, an alien sensation against your hardened skin. This profound beauty, this sculpted Eden, is a creation born of your own sweat and toil, meticulously crafted for eyes that rarely acknowledge your presence. A brief shadow falls, as a noble couple, their silk robes whispering like secrets, stroll along a distant path. Their laughter, light and carefree, drifts on the breeze, a sound as perfectly placed as the flowers themselves. They pause, admiring a particularly vibrant bloom, their gloved hands delicately gesturing. They are the audience, the privileged connoisseurs of this living art. You are the invisible artist, perpetually behind the curtain, destined to gaze upon your creation only from its periphery. Your rough clothes, a stark contrast to their effortless elegance. You consider the roses, their relentless cycle of bloom and fade, their beauty a fleeting, inevitable truth. Nature obeys its own ancient, unchanging laws. It demands growth, decay, and rebirth, a cycle that treats king and peasant alike in its fundamental processes. But human hierarchy, the intricate, unyielding structure of the palace, attempts to defy nature, to create a static perfection where all is ordered, all is controlled, all is for the pleasure of the few. As you resume your slow, rhythmic weeding, a profound quiet settles within you. You are a part of nature here, connected to the earth, to the growth and the decay, in a way the nobles never can be, encased as they are in their silks and their privileges. This garden, a testament to both human will and nature's enduring spirit, offers a fleeting, almost secret peace. It is a moment of profound, quiet reverence, where the sheer, unbridled beauty created by your hands momentarily transcends the crushing weight of your servitude. And in this brief, silent communion, you realize that while you may be a servant to royalty, you are also, in a deeper, more elemental sense, a servant to the earth itself, bound by cycles far more ancient and enduring than any crown. The first sensation is a violent, stomach-churning lurch, followed by the deep, insistent groan of heavily laden wood. You are crammed into a space barely large enough to hold you, the air thick with the smell of wet earth, the strong, pungent aroma of horse dung, and the damp, familiar scent of your own soaked garments. Outside, the world is a relentless blur of gray. Rain pelts against the rough canvas covering, each droplet a miniature hammer blow against your ears, a constant, chilling reminder of the inhospitable journey. Your body is a vessel of constant, jarring discomfort. The carriage, a brute of a vehicle designed for function, not solace, pitches and rolls with savage abandon over unseen ruts and treacherous stones. Each jolt sends a shockwave through your spine, reverberating up your neck, rattling your teeth. You cling to a rough wooden beam, your knuckles white, trying to brace yourself against the ceaseless assault. A wave of nausea rises, cold and insistent, threatening to overwhelm the already tight knot in your stomach. It is the peculiar torment of motion sickness, added to the bone-deep weariness that already saturates your being. Through a small gap in the canvas you catch glimpses of the road. It is less a path and more a churned river of mud, stretching endlessly into the dismal distance. Horse hooves, unseen but powerfully felt, pound with a rhythmic, inexorable beat, churning the earth into a heavy, viscous slurry. The air is heavy, humid with the rain, but carries with it the cold, metallic taste of dampness. You feel the persistent chill seep into your clothes, into your skin, a damp hand reaching into your core. Around you, other servants endure the same silent torment. Their faces, when you steal a glance, are etched with resignation, their bodies slumped against the rough interior, swaying with the carriage's violent dance. No one speaks. There is no energy for words, only a shared, profound endurance. You imagine, with a weary bitterness, the royal coach ahead. Its springs, perhaps, offering a fraction more gentleness. Its interior, a sanctuary of warmth and dry air. Yet, even in their cushioned comfort, they are prisoners of the same crude roads, dependent on the unseen toil of those like you to propel them forward. This journey is not merely travel, it is a profound act of submission, a physical sacrifice demanded by the simple act of movement. Every ache, every shudder, every wave of nausea is a tribute to the necessity of their progress. Your body, battered and strained, becomes merely an extension of the carriage, a tool for onward momentum. And as the hours merge into an indistinguishable mass of discomfort, you realize that true freedom is not merely the absence of chains, but the ability to simply stand still, to be master of your own senses, a luxury denied in this relentless, churning pilgrimage. Your very discomfort is a solemn offering, a silent prayer for the journey's end. The carriage lurches once more, a sickening sway that sends a ripple of shared nausea through the cramped confines where you are pressed against the rough wooden wall. The air is heavy, thick with the smell of damp wool, the faint, persistent tang of horse, and the collective weariness of huddled bodies. Outside, the rhythmic drumming of rain continues, a relentless soundtrack to the journey, accompanied now by a different kind of sound, a faint, rising cheer, distant, yet distinct enough to remind you of the world beyond your discomfort. You catch a fleeting glimpse through a chink in the canvas, banners unfurled, bright against the gray sky, and the blurred faces of a gathered crowd. This is the spectacle, the glorious display of royal progress, seen from its lowest, most unforgiving perspective. Ahead of your utilitarian transport, you know the grand coaches glide, their gilded frames gleaming, their occupants cushioned against the brutal reality of the road. They are the visible, celebrated movement, while you are the unseen, enduring engine, propelling this entire, elaborate performance forward. The lack of personal space is absolute, a constant physical invasion. You are pressed, shoulder to shoulder, hip to hip, with fellow servants, their rough tunics brushing against yours, their breathing a quiet, shared rhythm. There is no room to stretch aching limbs, no opportunity for a moment of solitary thought. Your body becomes merely another object within the carriage, a piece of necessary cargo, stripped of individuality. Every movement, every twitch is felt by another, a constant reminder of your profound anonymity within this moving, human burden. The relentless jarring continues, a monotonous assault on your senses. Your head aches, your muscles scream in silent protest, but there is no respite. This is the sheer, physical toll of constant relocation, the endless demands of a life lived always on the move, always at the command of another. You are not journeying for personal purpose, for discovery, or for solace. You are moving because royalty commands it, because their intricate world requires a constant shifting of its living pieces. The mental burden, too, settles deep within you. It is the exhaustion that blurs the lines between one day and the next, between one desolate stretch of road and another. The profound sense of being perpetually a part of something larger, something that consumes your will, your strength, your very existence, yet offers no personal recognition. You are a nameless component in a majestic, slow-moving tide, a living, breathing part of the king's progress, a cog in an immense machine. And as the sun begins its slow descent, painting the rain-swept landscape with hues of muted gold and gray, you realize the enduring nature of your sacrifice. This journey is not merely a path from one palace to another, but a metaphor for your life, a relentless, uncomfortable movement, propelled by an unseen force, with no true destination of your own choosing. Each jarring impact, each shared ache, becomes a profound, silent prayer for the simple luxury of stillness, of a moment where your body and your will might finally be your own. The air here is a shimmering, almost suffocating cloud of expensive perfumes. Not the raw, earthy scent of the stables, nor the harsh tang of the wash house, but a cloying sweetness, heavy with civet and musk, designed to mask and to allure. It clings to the rich tapestries, the gilded furniture, and most profoundly, to the silks and velvets of the nobles gathered in this opulent salon. This is the scent of a different kind of danger, a subtle venom hidden beneath layers of elegance. You move through the periphery of the room, a phantom in your coarse tunic, your task to replenish the flickering candles. The low hum of conversation, a ceaseless, intricate tapestry of hushed tones, fills the space. Each rustle of silk, each soft murmur, seems to carry a double meaning, a hidden blade within its velvet sheath. You see the glances, sharp and calculating, that dart between figures, brief flashes of suspicion or alliance, a forced smile that doesn't quite reach the eyes, a hand laid on an arm, a gesture that appears casual, yet conveys a profound, unspoken message. You approach a table, laden with delicate pastries and crystal goblets of wine, to replace a guttering candle. Your hands, calloused and rough, contrast starkly with the polished surface. As you lean in, a fragment of conversation, sharp and clear, pierces the general hum. Words like loyalty, favor, discretion, and then a name, spoken with a chilling, almost reverent contempt. The sound is low, barely a whisper, yet it resonates with a hidden power, a weight that feels heavier than any burden you have ever lifted. These are the poisoned words, the subtle instruments of intrigue, wielded with a terrifying precision. You feel a sudden, involuntary tightening in your chest, a cold knot of dread that settles in your stomach. You are an invisible observer, yet profoundly vulnerable. The air around you, thick with the scent of perfume, now seems to vibrate with unspoken tension, with the palpable presence of ambition and fear. You see the flash in a nobleman's eye as he listens, a brief, predatory gleam. You notice the subtle stiffening of another's posture, a quiet signal of alarm. This is the constant, suffocating pressure of court life, a silent war fought with words and glances, where alliances shift like desert sands, and trust is a fragile, perilous illusion. Your body, trained for invisibility, keeps moving, your task completed with practiced efficiency. You do not falter, do not betray a single tremor. But within, a profound fear coils, to be caught in this web, even by accident, to be seen, to have heard too much. This could mean ruin. Your life, your very existence, is cheap in their grand, perilous game. You are a small, insignificant piece, easily crushed beneath the weight of their machinations. This awareness, chilling and ever-present, is the price of your proximity, the constant, unspoken threat that hangs over every moment of your service. As you retreat, disappearing back into the deeper shadows of the corridor, the rich, cloying perfume seems to cling to you, a heavy, unwelcome cloak. The hushed tones of intrigue fade, but their echo lingers, a warning. You understand that the sacrifice here is not merely your labor, but your peace of mind, your innocence. You exist on the precarious edge of their power, a silent witness to their hidden battles, your own fate, an insignificant casualty in their ceaseless pursuit of influence. It is a terrifying reverence, this silent observation, a constant reminder that the grand tapestry of royalty is woven with threads of danger, each one capable of unraveling your very existence. The heavy, cloying perfume of the noble chambers still clings to your tunic, a phantom scent in the cooler, quieter passages. You move through the palace, a silent current in its vast, intricate network. Your presence meant to be as ephemeral as the shadows themselves. But your mind, though trained to be blank, now carries echoes, faint yet insistent, of the hushed words you've inadvertently gathered, the fleeting glances you've intercepted. This is the unique, terrifying burden of the invisible observer. You walk past a closed door, richly carved and polished. From within, you hear only a profound silence, yet your mind reconstructs the scene that transpired moments before. The quick, dismissive gesture from a lord, the subtle, forced smile of a lady, the almost imperceptible tensing of a guard's jaw. You recall the exact inflection of a whispered phrase, innocuous on its own, but imbued with a chilling weight when combined with the calculating glint in the speaker's eye. These are the threads of power, woven with such subtlety that only those perpetually on the periphery, those unseen, can truly witness their intricate, perilous design. Your hands, calloused and rough from endless labor, carry a stack of freshly laundered linens, their clean scent, a stark contrast to the miasma of intrigue that seems to follow you. As you ascend a grand, sweeping staircase, your gaze is kept downwards, fixed on the polished steps, yet your senses remain acutely attuned. You feel the subtle shift in the air when a higher-ranking servant passes, their silence a command in itself. It is a world where every movement, every non-action, every unspoken word holds profound meaning, where survival depends on a constant, almost predatory vigilance. You have seen the raw ambition beneath the veneer of courtly grace, the quiet desperation in eyes that publicly project serene confidence. You have witnessed the intricate dance of alliances and betrayals, the delicate balance of favor that can shatter with a single ill-placed word. The fate of entire families, even kingdoms, can hinge upon the precise timing of a whisper, the subtle omission in a report, the careful placement of a seemingly harmless object. You know these truths, these dangerous, volatile secrets. They reside within you, a heavy, silent presence, shared with no one. The rules are etched, not in parchment, but in the very air you breathe. You do not see, you do not hear, and above all, you do not speak. To utter a single word of what you have witnessed, to even acknowledge the knowledge you possess, would be to invite swift, unforgiving ruin. The fear of that consequence is a cold, sharp blade, always at your throat. It is an isolation born of dangerous intimacy, a unique position that grants you unparalleled insight into the machinery of power, yet simultaneously renders you utterly powerless. You reach the linen closet, the simple act of putting away fresh sheets, a momentary anchor in this swirling sea of unspoken dangers. As you fold the crisp fabric, you realize that the secrets you carry are not yours to own, but a burden imposed by your very existence in this palace. They become a part of you, a hidden weight that never truly leaves, a constant reminder of the fragile line between observer and participant, between life and death. And in this silent, profound communion with forbidden truths, you are reminded that the sacrifice of a servant is not only in their labor, but in the silent surrender of their own voice, their own will, to the dangerous, majestic dance of royalty. You are a living tomb for their truths, and your silence is their greatest, most terrifying asset. The air itself seems to thicken, becoming a dense, almost palpable entity as you approach the grand dining hall. It is an overwhelming miasma, a dizzying blend of aromas that assaults your senses, the rich, roasted scent of countless meats, mingled with the cloying sweetness of spiced wines and exotic fruits. Hints of ginger, cinnamon, and saffron rise and fall, a perfumed haze that speaks of staggering abundance, of a feast beyond measure. Yet, for you, it is a sickening sweetness, a prelude to profound exertion. You push open the heavy, ornate door, and the sound strikes you like a physical wave. It is not merely loud, it is deafening. The cacophony of revelry, a joyous, uncontrolled uproar, washes over you. Boisterous laughter, the clinking of goblets against platters, the scraping of chairs, and the vibrant, insistent music of lutes and flutes all merge into a singular, overwhelming roar. The hall itself seems to pulse with this energy, a living, breathing beast of celebration. Your eyes, momentarily stunned by the brilliance, adjust to a scene of dazzling light. Hundreds of candles burn from immense chandeliers, casting a golden glow on the faces of the nobility. Their robes, a kaleidoscope of jewel tones, shimmer with every movement. They eat, they drink, they talk with an uninhibited gusto that feels almost alien. Plates overflow, goblets are refilled with relentless speed, and the air around them seems to vibrate with a joyous, careless abandon. Your task is to serve. You take up a heavy silver platter, laden with a glistening roasted boar, its skin crisp, its aroma intoxicating. The weight strains your arms, your back, but your movements are practiced, efficient, almost invisible. You navigate the chaotic dance of the hall, weaving between boisterous guests, avoiding stray hands and jostling elbows. Each step is precise, each placement of a dish, an act of careful, solemn presentation. You feel the heat radiating from the food, the subtle warmth of the wine on your fingertips as you pour, an intimate connection to the feast you will never partake in. The courses are endless, a river of dishes flowing from the unseen kitchens to this opulent, hungry sea of revelers. Roasted fowl, glistening fish, elaborate pies, towering confectionaries. Each one a masterpiece of culinary art, carried forth by hands like yours. You feel the persistent ache in your legs, the dull throb in your shoulders, the exhaustion that settles deep in your bones. The cheerful din, once overwhelming, now becomes a monotonous drone, a background to your relentless physical labor. In this vibrant theater of excess, you are merely a shadow, a fleeting presence. You are surrounded by beauty, by opulence, by a joyous abandon that is utterly separate from your own reality. The contrast is stark, almost unbearable. You are the unseen foundation of their pleasure, the silent mechanism that ensures the river of food and wine never ceases. And as the night deepens, marked only by the dwindling candles and the ever-increasing weariness in your body, you realize that this elaborate feast, this joyful celebration, is built upon your unwavering silent sacrifice. Your exhaustion, your hunger, your very anonymity are the unseen offerings that make their revelry possible. It is a profound, solemn truth, woven into every bite, every sip, every joyous, careless laugh. The lingering aroma of roasted meats and sweet-spiced wines still saturates the air, a heavy, intoxicating perfume that is now, for you, turned into a form of exquisite torture. It curls around you, insidious and constant, stimulating an internal emptiness, a tightening in your gut that feels like a cold, hard knot. You stand at the edge of the grand hall, watching the revelry continue, the clamor of laughter and music now blurring into a dull drone against the sharper, more immediate protest of your own body. You lift another platter, its silver surface gleaming under the candlelight, piled high with delicate glazed pastries. The scent of warm sugar, butter, and cinnamon assaults your senses. You feel the weight of it, the generous abundance. As you navigate through the jostling guests, your eyes, trained to be impassive, cannot help but register the sheer volume. A noble, halfway through a rich stew, gestures impatiently. Pushing his plate aside, you glimpse the remaining portion, easily enough for a full meal, now destined for the refuse, a silent offering to waste. Your stomach gives a low, involuntary rumble, a betrayal you quickly suppress, forcing your expression into a mask of perfect, blank service. The memory of your own last meal, a thin gruel, perhaps a crust of stale bread, is a stark, bitter contrast to the opulence you carry. You serve the steaming cuts of venison, the rich gravies, the vibrant, sweetened fruits, your hands moving with an acractist grace that belies the profound ache of hunger twisting within you. Each glistening morsel, each delicate confection, becomes a symbol of an unattainable world, a cruel jest played out before your very eyes. You feel the warmth of the dishes, the tantalizing steam, a sensory experience that intensifies your own deprivation. There is a strange, terrifying reverence in this act. Reverence for the food itself, for the precious resources that have gone into its creation, yet also a silent, internal awe at the monumental, casual waste. You are the conduit for this excess, the silent facilitator of their gluttony, while your own body exists on the very edge of sustenance. The humiliation is subtle, unspoken, but deeply felt. It is in the tightening of your jaw, in the almost desperate control you exert over your gaze, ensuring no hint of longing betrays your true state. Your duty demands a complete suppression of self. You cannot reach, cannot taste, cannot even overtly desire. This is a profound, constant sacrifice, unfolding not on an altar, but in the intimate proximity of overwhelming abundance. The physical pangs are relentless, a drumming reminder of your station, your place in this unyielding hierarchy. You are surrounded by life-giving sustenance, yet starved in plain sight. Your very presence at the feast, an affirmation of your own hunger. As the night stretches on, the revelry reaching its peak, you realize that this is not merely a task, but a profound test of will. To serve luxury while starving, to witness unimaginable waste while knowing true scarcity, it is a cruel alchemy that transforms the simple act of eating into a complex, emotional battlefield. And in this silent, arduous endurance, as the rich, sweet smells of the feast begin to sicken rather than tempt, you understand that your deepest offering here is not just your labor, but the unwavering, silent denial of your most fundamental human need. You are a ghost at the banquet, a living sacrifice to the very concept of royal abundance. The cold grips you, not with the sharp bite of a winter morning, but with a profound, pervasive dampness that sinks immediately into your very core. It is the inescapable chill of ancient stone, subterranean, unyielding, a frigid embrace that seems to draw all warmth from your body. You feel it pressing against your rough tunic, clinging to your skin, a constant, low ache that radiates through your limbs. This is the cold of a forgotten place, a realm far removed from the gilded halls above. The air you draw is heavy, thick, with a deep, musty tang. It is the undeniable odor of mildew, damp earth, and something far more insidious, a raw, almost metallic scent that speaks not of physical decay, but of profound despair. It invades your nostrils, settles in your throat, a taste of confinement and abandoned hope. This is the air of quiet suffering, a suffocating weight that makes each breath feel like an effort, a struggle against an invisible adversary. No distant bells chime here. No clanging pots echo. No rustle of silk whispers from unseen passages. There is only the profound absolute silence, so dense it seems to press against your eardrums, a solid wall of quiet. In this unnerving stillness, the only sounds are those of your own body, the ragged, shallow intake of your breath, the slow, sometimes erratic thump of your heart against your ribs. These become amplified, unnervingly intimate, the sole proof of your continued, fragile existence within this tomb-like space. You are slumped against rough, unyielding stone, the damp chill seeping into every aching muscle, every protesting joint. Your posture is cramped, unnatural, a prolonged testament to physical discomfort. Every tremor, every twitch of pain becomes an intense, internal drama. You feel the grit of the stone against your cheek, the stiffness in your neck, the relentless pressure on your hips, where your body meets the cold, hard floor. There is no relief, no comfortable position to be found, only the ceaseless, dull throb of your imprisoned form. Hours stretch into an immeasurable expanse, marked only by the slow, inexorable descent into deeper solitude. This profound, chilling silence is your sole witness, the stone walls, your unblinking audience. Here, in this forgotten corner, your own suffering becomes a silent, terrifying ritual, a sacrifice to an unknown, unspoken transgression, or perhaps merely to the arbitrary, indifferent will that governs this immense, unforgiving world. You are bound not by visible chains, but by the relentless weight of absolute isolation. And in this harrowing stillness, as the despair deepens its icy grip, you are left with only the raw, undeniable truth of your own fragile, enduring spirit, a quiet rebellion against the overwhelming power of silence and stone. The cold, damp stone presses against your back, an unyielding companion in this suffocating darkness. The air, heavy with mildew and the metallic tang of fear, feels stale, each breath a shallow struggle against the pervasive gloom. Here, in this absolute silence, broken only by the erratic rhythm of your own heart, your mind is left to replay the moments that led you to this subterranean tomb, a stark contrast to the bustling, indifferent world above. It was a small thing, a tremor of the hand, a fleeting lapse in an otherwise flawless performance. Perhaps it was the slight clinking of silver during a quiet, hushed conversation in the king's private chambers. Or perhaps a moment of weariness, a glance held too long, a flicker of something too human in your eyes as you met the cold, unseeing gaze of a noble. A misstep so minor, so utterly trivial in the grand tapestry of human existence, yet here, within these walls, it was a transgression of monumental proportions. There was no trial, no explanation, no opportunity for words, only the swift, sharp gesture of a hand, a silent command from a face devoid of expression. The cold, dismissing glance that followed, conveying more condemnation than any shout. You felt the shift in the air, the immediate hardening of faces around you. The sudden, terrifying realization that you were no longer simply a servant, but an anomaly, an error to be corrected. The terror was not in the physical act of being led away, but in the profound, absolute silence that surrounded it, the complete absence of reason or appeal. You recall the rough hands that guided you, not with violence, but with an unyielding purpose, down endless, twisting passages, each step further removing you from the warmth, the light, the very concept of belonging. The heavy thud of the iron door as it closed behind you, echoing the finality of an arbitrary decree. Now, in this profound solitude, your body aches, not merely from the cramped confinement, but from the invisible chains of injustice. Your spirit feels bruised, violated by the sheer indifference of power, by the absolute lack of value placed on your being. This chamber, cold and dark, becomes a silent, terrifying sermon on the nature of justice in this world. It is a justice without reason, without compassion, dispensed by whim, unburdened by evidence or testimony. Your punishment, out of all proportion to your perceived offense, is a stark reminder of your utter insignificance, your complete subjugation to a will far grander and more terrifying than your own. The very air you breathe feels charged with the weight of unseen eyes, unblinking judgments from those whose lives are built upon the silent, ceaseless sacrifices of others. As the absolute darkness of this cell presses in, you are left with a chilling, profound realization. Freedom is not merely the absence of chains, but the inherent right to a voice, to an explanation, to a semblance of fairness in the eyes of others. Here in this forgotten corner of the palace, that right is an unknown luxury, a concept utterly alien. You are a discarded piece, a silent testament to the brutal, unyielding truth of power, a sacrifice made for the sake of an undisturbed order. And in this terrifying, unspoken truth, you grasp the immense, precious value of a justice that allows even the lowest to be heard, a value that seems to vanish entirely in the shadows of royalty. The first sensation that claws at you is the smell, a raw, unmistakable metallic tang of fresh blood, thick and visceral, mingling with the sharp, acrid scent of bitter herbs being crushed, and something else, something terrifyingly distinct, the faint, sweet char of burning flesh. This is not the clean cold of stone, nor the rich perfume of the nobles. This is the infirmary, a place where the true fragility of life, even royal life, is starkly laid bare. You are ushered into a chamber far from the opulent public areas, dimly lit by a few tallow candles that cast grotesque, dancing shadows on the rough stone walls. Here, the air itself feels heavy, stifling, a profound contrast to the pristine, ordered world above. And then the sounds begin, not the joyous clamor of a feast, nor the haunting chants of the chapel, but the low, guttural moans of pain, sometimes rising to sharp, ragged cries that pierce the oppressive air. These are the sounds of suffering, of bodies pushed to their absolute limits, stripped bare of all pretense. Your eyes, accustomed to averted gazes, are now forced to witness. Before you, a figure, perhaps a guard, perhaps a lesser noble, lies on a simple cot, his face ashen, contorted in agony. A crude poultice, dark and sticky with herbs, is being pressed onto a wound. You see the glint of steel, perhaps a surgeon's tool, being held over a flame until it glows an ominous red, preparing for the searing act of cautery. You feel a wave of involuntary nausea, a tightening in your stomach, but you must remain still, utterly impassive. You are here to assist, to fetch, to hold, to bear witness. Your hands, usually deft with domestic tasks, now tremble slightly as you hold a bowl of hot water, the steam rising to sting your eyes. You see the blood, not in delicate drops, but in viscous streams, dark and thick, seeping into rough linens. The smell of burning flesh, when the cautery is applied, is a sickening shock, followed by a raw, guttural cry that seems to tear through the very fabric of your being. You feel the profound helplessness, the chilling realization of your utter inability to alleviate this suffering, to offer any true comfort beyond what is commanded. Around you, other figures move with grim determination. A physician, his face grim. A nurse, her movements weary but efficient. Their silence is not one of reverence, but of grim necessity, a focused battle against the ravages of illness and injury. This is a battlefield, not of swords, but of pain, where the enemy is invisible, relentless. In this chamber, where the raw, vulnerable essence of humanity is laid bare, you realize that all the pomp and power of royalty cannot shield against the inevitable realities of the flesh. Even the highest noble in this stark room is reduced to a body in pain, dependent on the crude, often brutal ministrations of those around them. And as the hours stretch, marked by the slow, painful breaths of the afflicted, you understand that your presence here is a unique, terrifying form of sacrifice. You are a silent witness to their deepest vulnerability, a living repository of their suffering, a truth that binds you, inextricably, to the fragility of their exalted lives. This enduring image of pain, of the metallic tang of blood and bitter herbs, is a solemn, constant reminder of the unseen cost of power. The cloying mix of blood and bitter herbs still assaults your senses, a persistent reminder of the infirmary's grim reality. The raw cries of the afflicted, though now muffled, echo in the deeper passages of the palace. You carry a fresh bucket of water, its coolness a fleeting comfort against your raw hands, but your mind is still held captive by the scene of suffering, of a life clinging to a fragile thread. You move through the labyrinthine corridors, the palace an intricate breathing organism, yet one perpetually on the precipice of disease. You know that even the highest nobles, cloaked in their silks and protected by their guards, are not immune. You've seen the sudden fever claim a young lady, the chilling cough weaken a robust lord. Health here is a capricious mistress, a gift that can be snatched away without warning, without reason. No magic, no wealth, truly shields them from its whims. You pass a small, windowless room where a physician prepares his remedies. The air around it is thick, with the smell of boiling concoctions, of strange powders being mixed, of leeches squirming in a jar. These are the tools of their healing. Desperate measures, often painful, sometimes terrifying. You've seen the grim satisfaction on a physician's face as he drains blood from a fevered patient, believing it will purge the sickness. You've witnessed the brutal setting of a broken bone, the screams of the patient, the stark, agonizing pain of a cure that often felt worse than the malady itself. There are no clean linens, no antiseptics, no hidden knowledge of microscopic invaders. Only the raw, unrefined power of nature's remedies, or the blunt force of the surgeon's hand. A chill runs through you, a premonition, a quiet fear that settles in your stomach. You understand that the very air you breathe, the water you drink, the food you consume, all carry unseen threats. The lack of sanitation, the crowded conditions in the servants' quarters, the pervasive dampness of the palace stones. These are constant, invisible enemies. A simple cut can fester. A minor cough can deepen into a death rattle. There is no certainty, only a constant, low thrum of vulnerability. You think of the future, a world where invisible scourges might be banished by tiny, powerful medicines. A world where cleanliness is not just an aesthetic, but a shield against death. But here, life is a delicate flame, easily extinguished by an unseen draft. The great advancements that will one day make such suffering a distant memory are centuries away, beyond the wildest dreams of any here. In this constant battle against the inevitable, against the precariousness of life itself, you are just another soldier in a war without end. You are a silent witness to the grim reality of existence, a life lived always on the edge, always under the shadow of unseen threats. And in that profound shared vulnerability, you realize that even in a world of such immense power and wealth, the most fundamental human condition, the fragile thread of life, remains the most terrifying and the most revered. It is a sacrifice made not to royalty, but to the indifferent, timeless forces of life and death themselves. You feel the chill deepen as you ascend, not the dampness of the lower palace, but a higher, drier cold, permeated by the fine, gritty dust that seems to coat every surface. The air grows stale, thick with the subtle, earthy scent of ancient wood, mingling with the acrid tang of pigeon droppings that clings stubbornly to the rough stone. Each step upward on the winding, uneven stairs feels like an ascent into a forgotten realm, a place where time is marked not by the sun, but by a different, more formidable master. You push open a heavy, creaking door, and the chamber beyond opens, vast and shadowed, stretching high above. And there they are, the immense, thick ropes, hanging like silent, slumbering serpents, reaching down from the colossal, dark shapes high above. They are rough, coarse beneath your fingertips as you grasp one, feeling its immense, dormant power. The air vibrates with an unseen energy in anticipation of the colossal force about to be unleashed. Dust motes dance in the thin shafts of light that penetrate the grimy windows, catching the occasional glint of rusted iron. Then, a command, a sharp, almost guttural cry from a master bell ringer. Your body braces, muscles tensing. As you prepare, you pull, with all the strength in your shoulders, in your back, your raw hands gripping the coarse fibers until they burn. The rope resists, then yields, rising with a groan, then falling with a surge, lifting an unseen weight far above. And then it comes. Not merely a sound, but a physical blow. The first clang of the bell erupts, a deafening, metallic thunderclap that fills the entire chamber, vibrating through the very stone beneath your feet, shaking you to your bones. It is a sound so immense, so overwhelming it seems to shatter the air, to fill every cavity of your being. Your ears ring, your head swims with the sheer force of it. Dust explodes from the ancient timbers, spiraling in the air, momentarily blinding you. Again you pull, with renewed effort, driven by the rhythmic, inexorable demands of the colossal instrument. Clang. The sound crashes down once more, resonating deeper this time. A solemn, terrifying voice that proclaims not just the hour, but the profound weight of existence itself. These bells mark the passage of time, the call to prayer, the solemn warnings of emergency, fire, invasion, death. Each peal is a sacrifice, a moment of profound, unblinking truth, delivered through immense effort. Your muscles ache, your hands are raw, burning with friction, but the rhythm demands your obedience. You are a small, vital part of this ancient, powerful mechanism, a silent participant in a ritual that binds the entire palace, indeed the entire city, to the relentless march of time. And in that deafening, resonant clang, as the vibration shakes you to your very core, you feel a profound, almost primal awe. You are a channel for a voice greater than any human, a voice that commands, warns, and sanctifies, a solemn, terrifying reminder of the enduring power that governs your world. This is the very breath of the palace, its heartbeat, measured in immense, thundering acts of service. The deafening clang of the bells from above still reverberates deep within your skull, a phantom echo long after the physical vibrations have subsided. Your hands, raw and aching from their struggle with the thick ropes, tremble slightly. The dust, disturbed by the immense sound, slowly settles around you, a fine, gritty blanket on the rough stone floor. But even in the silence that follows, the bells have left their indelible mark. They are more than mere sound. They are the very breath of this palace, the insistent, unyielding pulse that dictates the rhythm of your entire existence. You feel this rhythm in your bones, a constant, internal drumbeat that synchronizes with the unseen, relentless movement of time. From the moment the first bell tears you from your brief, hard sleep, to the final, solemn chime that signals the last possible moment of waking vigil, every breath, every step, every arduous task is measured, governed, and controlled by this unyielding tyranny of the clock. There is no personal hour, no spontaneous moment that is truly your own. You walk the familiar corridors, now emptied of the clanging ropes, but the sense of being perpetually timed, perpetually commanded, follows you like a shadow. You know, without needing to see a dial, that the sun is now a particular angle in the sky, a signal for the next round of duties. The morning ablutions, the cold trek to the scullery, the oppressive heat of the kitchens, the solemn hours in the chapel, the biting cold of the wash-house, each act is a segment of this vast, intricate mechanism, a predetermined role in a performance that never truly ends. The weight of this constant dictation settles deep within your spirit. You rarely have time to fully inhabit a moment, for the next task, the next bell, is always looming, a silent, implacable master. The brief comfort of the hearth, the fleeting glimpse of beauty in the garden, the sharp pang of hunger at the feast, these are mere blips, quickly subsumed by the relentless march of obligations. Your life is not a flowing river, but a series of punctuated beats, each one a summons to renewed labor, to an unwavering focus. The fear, subtle but ever-present, is that you might miss a beat, a moment of transition, to be late for a summons, to fail in a task precisely at the appointed time, is to risk the ire of superiors, to invite punishment, to break the delicate, unforgiving rhythm of the palace. So you move with a practiced efficiency, your body responding almost instinctively to the internal clock that has replaced your own desires. This is a profound, constant sacrifice. The surrender of your personal will to the impersonal force of time, a force made manifest by the thunderous voices of the bells. As the day progresses, your exhaustion deepens, yet the internal clock, regulated by the distant, omnipresent bells, never falters. You are a living instrument, played by the palace, your life a melody of duties, each note struck with precision. And in that relentless, inescapable rhythm, You realize that true freedom, a world where your own time is your own, is a concept as mythical and grand as any royal decree. Here, in the heart of royalty, time is not a passage but a cage, a solemn, terrifying measure of your unyielding servitude, a constant reminder that your very existence is a clockwork mechanism, set and wound by the invisible hands of power. The air here is thick, a palpable haze of fine, almost invisible lint that tickles your nostrils, settling on your skin, in your hair. It carries with it a subtle, earthy scent of raw wool, mingling with the sharper, more chemical tang of various dyes, rich indigo, vibrant madder, deep saffron. This is the loom house, a cavernous chamber where chaos is transformed into order, where raw fiber becomes the very fabric of royalty. It is a place of profound, almost sacred industry. You step further inside, and the sound engulfs you, not a clamor, but a relentless, rhythmic pulse. It is the ceaseless clack, clack, thwack of dozens of looms, a synchronized symphony of wood and tension that resonates through the very floorboards beneath your rough boots. Each beat is precise, unyielding, a testament to countless hands working in unison, weaving the very minutes into tangible beauty. The sound vibrates through your chest, a living, breathing machine of creation, its hypnotic rhythm, a constant companion. Your station awaits. You settle onto the rough wooden bench, its surface worn smooth by generations of toil. Your hands, calloused and hardened from harsher tasks like scrubbing and hauling, now assume a different kind of precision. Before you, the loom stands like a skeletal beast, its thousands of fine warp threads stretched taut, an intricate, unforgiving web of potential. You reach for the shuttle, its smooth, heavy wood, worn by the ceaseless passage through countless threads. It holds the weft thread, dyed a shimmering gold, a rich hue reserved for the highest nobility, a color you will never wear. You feel the delicate, yet strong tension of the threads between your fingers, each strand fine, yet capable of immense resilience. With a practiced, almost meditative motion, you guide the shuttle through the intricate pattern of the warp, a swift, almost silent passage. Then, with a firm, decisive pull, you bring down the heavy beater, pushing the new thread tightly into place. Clack, clack, thwack. The sound echoes the decisive action, the tiny victory of another perfect line woven, another segment of the grand design brought into being. Your eyes, strained from the dim light filtering through high, grimy windows and the endless, microscopic focus, scrutinize each newly formed section, ensuring the pattern is flawless, the tension unwavering, the weave without blemish. A single mistake, a single loose thread, could mar the entire piece, rendering hours, even days, of labor useless. Hours blend into a seamless continuum of this rhythmic, demanding labor. Your shoulders ache, a dull, persistent burn. Your eyes feel gritty, perpetually dry and strained. Your back protests the constant, forward bend, a permanent curve to your posture. The fine lint catches in your throat, a constant, dry irritation that makes swallowing a conscious effort. Yet, you continue, driven by the unspoken demand for absolute, unblemished perfection. This is not just weaving. It is an act of profound, unwavering dedication, transforming the humble fiber into garments that will grace royal shoulders, adorn majestic beds, or hang as immense, elaborate tapestries in grand halls. Objects of beauty you will only ever glimpse in passing. You think of the silks and velvets you sometimes handled during dressing, the finished product of this arduous process. Here, you are at the very inception of that luxury, a silent, unseen architect of its splendor. The intricacy of the pattern, the richness of the dye, the sheer quality of the weave. These are all a testament to the painstaking precision, the unwavering focus of hands like yours. It is a sacrifice of your sight, of your comfort, of the very rhythm of your personal time, all dedicated to crafting an external grandeur you will never personally possess, never truly experience as your own. You exist to make this beauty. The rhythmic clack, clack, thwack of the loom has become a part of your own heartbeat, a ceaseless pulse that governs the flow of your breath, the steady movements of your hands. The air, still hazy with fine lint and the deep scent of wool and dyes, settles around you like a second skin. Your rough fingertips, calloused from years of toil, now dance with surprising delicacy across the hundreds of taut threads of the warp, each strand a pathway in an intricate, unseen labyrinth. This is not merely labor. It is a profound, demanding craft, a silent dialogue between your will and the stubborn resistance of the fiber. You grasp the heavy shuttle, its wood polished, smooth by countless passages. Within it, a thread of purest gold, spun so fine it shimmers like captured sunlight. Your eyes, strained from the perpetual focus, meticulously trace the complex pattern, a design so elaborate it speaks of ancient lineage and unimaginable wealth. It is a pattern meant for a royal mantle, a tapestry that will hang in halls you are forbidden to enter, except as a shadow. Each precise movement of your hand, each swift throw of the shuttle, is an act of deep, unwavering dedication, honed by years of practice, an instinct ingrained in muscle and bone. You feel the tension in the threads, a constant, delicate balance. A single mistake, a moment of inattention, could unravel hours of work, could mar the entire piece, an unforgivable transgression. The fear of such a failure is a cold, sharp prick, a silent reminder of the absolute demand for perfection, the invisible eyes that will scrutinize every inch of this fabric, seeking flaw. Yet, amidst this profound pressure, a different sensation arises. It is the quiet hum of creation, the deep, abiding satisfaction of bringing order from chaos, of transforming raw material into breathtaking beauty. As the golden thread weaves its way through the indigo warp, a complex, shimmering motif slowly emerges beneath your gaze. It is a bloom, perhaps, or a heraldic beast, its form taking shape with each careful passage, each firm beat of the loom. You see its beauty unfold, a magnificent design destined to proclaim the glory of a noble house, to drape a body that is not your own. You will never wear this fabric, never feel its heavy richness against your skin, never witness its full splendor in the light of the grand halls. It is crafted for others, a silent offering of your skill, your dedication, your very essence. Yet, in this meticulous, repetitive act, a profound dignity blossoms within you. It is a quiet, internal reverence for the craft itself, for the mastery of the loom, for the innate satisfaction of creation. Your hands, though raw and aching, are capable of producing such intricate beauty, a testament to a skill that transcends your humble station. This is a truth that cannot be taken, cannot be commanded, cannot be bought. It is your own, a silent assertion of worth in a world that often denies it. As the sun begins its slow descent, painting the dusty chamber in hues of muted gold, the pattern on the loom grows longer, more magnificent. You are not merely a servant here. You are an artist, an artisan, a silent architect of luxury. And in that profound, intimate connection with the threads, with the ancient rhythm of the loom, you realize that your identity, though unseen by others, is irrevocably woven into the very fabric you create. This enduring craftsmanship, this meticulous dedication, is a silent, powerful testament to your own spirit, a quiet rebellion against the anonymity of your servitude. It is a sacred, terrifying act, this creation of beauty, for a world that knows not its true cost. The cold grips you here, a profound, biting chill that clings to the raw, exposed surfaces of the world. It is not the dampness of the palace's lower passages, but the sharp, clear cold of the forest edge, where the very air seems to carry the ghost of winter. A scent rises to meet you, deep and earthy, the profound resinous aroma of freshly split timber, sharp with sap, mingling with the damp, mineral tang of wet earth. This is the scent of a different kind of life, a brutal, essential realm far removed from silks and spices. You stand amidst towering piles of logs, dark and stark against the gray sky, their rough, splintered bark a testament to brute force. The sound here is a solemn, percussive symphony. The heavy thud of a log dropped onto the growing stack, the sharp track of smaller branches snapping underfoot, the rhythmic grunt of men as they heave and lift. Each sound resonates with a primal echo, a deep cadence that speaks of raw strength and unyielding purpose. Your hands, already calloused and hardened by countless palace duties, reach for a log. Its bark is rough, abrasive, digging into your palms as you grasp its immense weight. The cold of the timber sinks into your skin, a jarring contrast to the heat building in your muscles. You lift, with a grunt that tears from your throat, feeling the profound strain in your shoulders, your back, your legs. This is not a subtle exertion. It is a primal battle against gravity, against the stubborn mass of the wood itself. You carry the log, its bulk awkward and demanding, towards the colossal woodpiles destined for the palace. Each step is deliberate, measured, your rough boots sinking slightly into the damp earth, then finding purchase. The rhythmic swing of your body, the persistent ache in your core, becomes a silent mantra of effort. Around you, other figures move with the same grim determination, their breath misting in the cold air, their faces etched with the profound weariness of relentless physical labor. No one speaks. The effort consumes all breath, all thought. This is a communal, silent sacrifice. The palace, so grand and luminous, with its countless hearths and roaring kitchens, demands an insatiable tribute of warmth. And here, in this raw, elemental place, you are part of the unseen, unwavering force that provides it. The sheer volume of wood required, the endless cycle of felling, splitting, and hauling, is an awe-inspiring, terrifying truth. You see the glint of axes in the distance, hear the mournful groan of a falling tree, and you understand the profound violence that underpins every moment of aristocratic comfort, every cozy, fire-lit chamber. As the sun begins its slow descent, painting the sky in hues of muted gray and bruised purple, the cold deepens. Your body screams in protest. Your hands are raw, perhaps a splinter or two now lodged deep beneath your skin. Yet, the work must continue. This relentless, back-breaking labor, this silent, profound communion with the raw earth and its bounty, is your continuous offering. You are transforming forest into warmth, brute strength into comfort, a living, breathing testament to the hidden sacrifices that sustain the glittering, indifferent world of royalty. And in that relentless, earthy rhythm, you feel a profound, almost spiritual connection to the very elemental forces that govern life itself. The chill of the forest edge has receded, but the profound, resonant scent of fresh split timber still clings to your hands, to your clothes, a constant reminder of the brute labor that fills your days. Now you carry the dense, unyielding weight of the logs not through the damp earth, but through the winding, often dark passages of the palace itself. Each log, abrasive against your shoulder, is a testament to the warmth it will soon provide, a promise whispered through the cold stone. You move with a slow, deliberate rhythm, each step measured, the heavy leather of your boots echoing in the quiet, utilitarian corridors. The scraping sound of wood against stone as you adjust your grip, the muffled grunts of other servants carrying similar burdens, these are the silent psalms of your tireless procession. As you draw nearer to the vast hearths of the grand halls, a subtle shift occurs in the air. A ghost of warmth, a rising sweetness of wood smoke, begins to displace the ever-present chill, a faint beacon that pulls you forward. You reach the entrance to a majestic chamber, briefly illuminated by the flickering, dancing light of a roaring fire. You glimpse, for a fleeting moment, the nobles gathered, their faces softened by the amber glow, their voices a low, contented murmur. This fire, so easily enjoyed, is the very lifeblood of their world. It is the core that banishes the ubiquitous cold, that transforms raw ingredients into succulent feasts in the kitchens, that casts the inviting light for their learned readings and their whispered intrigues. Without this constant consuming flame, the palace would quickly revert to a tomb of ice and shadow. Your task is to feed that heart. You deposit your heavy log onto the burgeoning pile by the hearth. The impact, a dull, satisfying thud. The sheer volume of wood required is a profound, almost terrifying truth. Hearth after hearth, chamber after chamber, kitchen after kitchen, an insatiable demand that devours forests, that commands your unceasing strength. You are not merely carrying wood. You are carrying warmth, sustenance, light, and thus, life itself, into the very veins of this immense, living structure. Your hands, raw and splintered, feel the residual heat from the glowing coals, a brief, fleeting comfort, a reminder of the power you wield, yet cannot claim for yourself. The nobles, in their silken robes, basking in the fire's embrace, remain utterly oblivious to the silent, aching efforts of those who ensure its continuous burn. You are the unseen guardians against the cold, the unsung heroes who wage constant battle against the encroaching darkness, the tireless providers who fuel every moment of their comfort and luxury. Your sacrifice is the very flame itself, a quiet, profound offering that melts the ice from their world. As you turn to retrieve another log, your body aching, your breath misting in the chill air of the inner passages, you feel a deep, almost mystical connection to this elemental task. You are bound to the raw power of the earth, transforming its essence into the very means of survival for an entire court. This relentless labor, this unending cycle of felling and hauling, is your most constant prayer, your most profound act of reverence. And in that vital, silent, ceaseless flow of wood, you realize that your purpose is to ensure the continuous, vibrant pulse of the palace, a testament to the enduring, indispensable sacrifice that keeps the very heart of royalty beating against the indifferent, encroaching cold of the world. The descent begins not with a ceremonial procession, but with a reluctant step down into absolute, suffocating darkness. The air hits you first, a profound, sickening wall that chokes your breath, making your stomach clench. It is the undeniable stench of human waste, raw and potent, mingling with the deep, earthy smell of stagnant water and the cloying sweetness of decay. This is the true underside of the palace, its hidden, putrid veins, a realm far beneath the polished floors and scented chambers. You are equipped with only a sputtering, guttering tallow lamp, its feeble flame casting wildly dancing shadows that exaggerate the oppressive gloom. The passage narrows, the rough-hewn stone walls pressing in, dripping with a cold, perpetual moisture. You feel the clammy dampness on your face, in your hair, clinging to your coarse tunic. Your rough boots sink into a soft, yielding slime that coats the uneven floor, a treacherous, unseen surface that threatens to steal your footing with every hesitant step. The absolute silence of this subterranean world is broken only by the unnerving sounds of unseen life. The constant, soft drip, drip, drip of water echoing from unknown corners, a slow, relentless pulse in the darkness. And then, the scuttling. A sudden, frantic rustle in the shadows. A quick, almost visceral movement that sends a cold tremor through you. You feel the unseen presence of countless creatures, unseen inhabitants of this underworld, their tiny feet, a constant, unsettling chorus on the damp stone. A shiver, involuntary and profound, courses down your spine, a mingling of disgust and a primal, almost superstitious fear of the unknown that lurks in the deep. Your task is grim, essential, and utterly without glory. Here, the great palace's intricate system of channels and culverts, designed to carry away the waste of hundreds, must be maintained. You find the blockage, a sickening accumulation of refuse and detritus, an unyielding mass that stubbornly resists the flow. Your hands, calloused and strong, plunge into the cold, viscous effluent, feeling the unidentifiable objects, the repugnant textures, as you work to dislodge the obstruction. The stench, now intimately close, invades your throat, your mouth, a constant sickening taste. Each heave, each struggle against the solid putrid mass, is a profound act of self-abnegation. You are the unseen hand that cleanses the very bowels of royalty, ensuring that the elegant life above can continue, pristine and unblemished, ignorant of the vile work performed in these lightless depths. This is a perpetual battle against stagnation, a ceaseless effort to keep the hidden rivers flowing, preventing the palace from being choked by its own waste. As your lamp flickers, casting long, grotesque shadows on the slime-covered walls, you pause, your breath coming in ragged gasps. Your body aches, not merely from exertion, but from the profound indignity of the task. Yet, in this repulsion, there is also a strange, dark reverence. You are at the very foundation of their cleanliness, the silent, suffering bedrock upon which their opulence rests. And in this cold, damp, stench-filled darkness, surrounded by unseen scuttling and the profound silence of forgotten labor, you realize that your purpose here is not just to maintain a structure, but to bear a secret, a profound, terrifying truth about the hidden cost of all grandeur. It is a sacrifice made in the deepest shadows for a world that can never know its true, repulsive genesis. The sickening stench of sewage and decay still clings to your very being, a phantom shroud that follows you even as you begin the slow, arduous ascent from the palace's subterranean depths. Your hands, raw and burning, are scraped from their struggle with the vile blockage. The slime, though partially wiped away, feels imprinted on your skin. You move through the winding passages, a lone figure emerging from the hidden ugliness that underpins the outward magnificence. As you climb, the air gradually changes, growing less heavy, less putrid. A faint, distant murmur of palace life begins to reach your ears, a soft hum that contrasts sharply with the absolute silence of the depths. You imagine the nobles, high above, unaware of the grim battle you've just fought, their lives untouched by the raw reality of the palace's true foundations. They glide through perfumed halls, their silks rustling, their conversations light and unburdened by the knowledge of what lies beneath. This is the profound, terrifying truth you carry from the darkness. The entire facade of royal grandeur, its pristine beauty, its effortless charm, is built upon a constant, ceaseless struggle against its own inevitable decay. Every grand banquet, every shimmering gown, every fragrant chamber, all generate waste, all demand maintenance, all require the silent, thankless efforts of those like you to keep the hidden rivers flowing. The elegant life above is but a delicate skin, stretched taut over a brutal, often repulsive, internal machinery. You think of the modern world, a time you can only dimly imagine, where such vile tasks are rendered invisible, handled by unseen networks of pipes and powerful machines, by systems so vast and complex they are taken for granted. Here, the process is raw, immediate, and profoundly human. It demands physical sacrifice, a daily descent into the very bowels of the earth, to confront the unmentionable, to bear witness to the raw reality of mass human existence. Your body aches not just from the physical strain, but from the spiritual weight of knowing this hidden truth. You are a silent guardian of an illusion, a living testament to the constant, grinding work that ensures others can live in a world of perceived perfection. The cold dampness, the pervasive stench, the scuttling of unseen creatures. These are the constant companions of those who keep the palace from drowning in its own refuse. It is a sacrifice made not for glory, but for the fundamental cleanliness that allows an entire civilization in miniature to function. As you finally emerge into a dimly lit service corridor, the faint smell of wood smoke replacing the putrid tang, you feel a profound reverence for the unseen efforts that underpin all grand societies. You are the invisible hand, the forgotten hero, whose daily descent into the darkness ensures the continued, glittering light of royalty. Your grim labor is a solemn offering, a terrifying secret held within the very stones of the palace. And in the stark contrast between their opulence and your grime, you understand that the true price of their magnificence is measured not in gold, but in the enduring, often humiliating sacrifice of those who serve, perpetually unseen, perpetually unthanked, bearing the hidden burdens of a world that refuses to acknowledge its own true cost. The air here is different. A profound, almost sacred shift from the palace's cold stone, its putrid depths, or its perfumed, dangerous chambers. It carries the humble, honest scent of plain broth, simmering gently, mingling with the dry, yeasty aroma of hard bread. This is the scent of simple sustenance, a stark contrast to the sickening sweetness of the royal feasts. It is the aroma of shared necessity, a silent balm for a body pushed to its limits. You shuffle into the servants' hall, a cramped, low-ceilinged space where the warmth of a communal hearth offers a blessed, physical comfort. This is not the roaring inferno of the royal kitchens, but a smaller, more intimate fire, its flames a steady, reassuring glow against the rough-hewn stone. You feel its gentle heat seep into your still aching bones, thawing the deep chill that seems to have permeated your very being throughout the day's relentless duties. Around you, others gather, a silent communion of the weary. Their faces, etched with profound exhaustion, are illuminated by the firelight and the dim flicker of tallow lamps. There is no joyous clamor here, no boisterous revelry. Instead, a low murmur of tired voices fills the air, a gentle hum of quiet conversation, of shared complaints, of unspoken understanding. It is the sound of collective relief, a quiet exhale after a day of ceaseless demands. You take your place on a rough wooden bench, its surface worn smooth by countless bodies, and accept the meager portion offered, a bowl of thin, steaming broth, its warmth spreading instantly through your chilled fingers, and a piece of hard, dark bread. This is not a feast. It is a necessity, a simple fuel for a body that must rise again with the morning bell. You break the bread, its crust resistant, its interior dense, and dip it into the broth, softening it before you raise it to your lips. The taste is plain, unadorned, yet profound in its simplicity. It is the taste of survival, of a hard-won respite. You eat slowly, deliberately, savoring each mouthful, allowing the warmth of the food to spread through your core. The hunger pangs, so acute just hours ago as you served the royal banquet, have now dulled, replaced by a deep, almost spiritual gratitude for this humble sustenance. Around you, other servants eat with the same quiet intensity, their gazes fixed on their bowls, their movements slow and heavy. There is a deep, unspoken bond here, a camaraderie born of shared hardship and collective endurance. As the last drops of broth are consumed, and the last crumbs of bread are gathered, a collective sigh, soft and profound, passes through the room. It is the sigh of bodies and spirits pushed to their very edge, now momentarily granted a brief, precious solace, the warmth of the hearth, the plain comfort of the food, the low murmur of tired voices. These are the fleeting, sacred gifts of the day's end. You feel the heavy cloak of exhaustion begin to settle, a welcome, profound weight, and in that quiet, communal moment, you realize the enduring power of simple things, of basic human needs met. This meager meal, so humble in comparison to the feasts you serve, offers a true sustenance, a deeper nourishment than any royal delicacy. It is a sacrifice of abundance for necessity, a silent testament to the quiet, unglamorous strength of those who endure. Here, in the heart of the servants' hall, in the fleeting warmth of the hearth, you find a profound, shared reverence, not for grandeur, but for the resilience of the human spirit. The last vestiges of warmth from the simple broth still linger in your belly, a faint comfort against the day's pervasive chill. You lean back against the rough, cold stone of the servants' hall, feeling the persistent ache in your muscles begin to soften, just slightly. The heat from the communal hearth is a living embrace, drawing out the cold that has permeated your very core throughout the ceaseless demands. These few stolen moments, the relentless pressure of palace life recedes, replaced by a fragile, almost sacred stillness. Around you, the low murmur of tired voices weaves a tapestry of quiet intimacy. No grand pronouncements echo here, no whispered intrigues pierce the air. Instead, there are only the shared weights of unspoken burdens, gently set aside for a precious few moments. His glance catches yours across the flickering firelight. A brief, profound exchange that requires no words. A collective sigh, soft and profound, passes through the room. A knowing nod from a fellow servant whose weary eyes mirror your own. These are the languages of common suffering, of resilience forged in the crucible of relentless service. The world of silks and sneers, of boiling cauldrons and freezing washhouses, feels impossibly distant here. In this cramped hall there is no master to command, no taskmaster to scrutinize, only a collective spirit, momentarily unbound by the rigid hierarchy that governs every waking breath. You feel the subtle shift in the atmosphere, a quiet easing of tension, a shared understanding that transcends rank or task. It is a profound, unspoken bond, woven from years of shared hardship, a silent recognition of each other's enduring strength. The weight of the day, with its endless chores and casual humiliations, has left you profoundly weary, but here, among those who truly understand, a deeper kind of sustenance emerges. It is the quiet affirmation of simply existing, of being seen, truly seen, by those who walk the same arduous path. The meager meal, the simple warmth, the low hum of voices, these are not luxuries, but essential anchors, grounding you in a shared humanity that the grandeur of the palace often seeks to erase. You close your eyes for a moment, savoring this fleeting peace. This unspoken camaraderie, this quiet dignity discovered in the midst of relentless servitude, is the true lifeblood that keeps you, and all, like you, moving forward. It is a terrifying truth that even within this system designed to render you invisible, to make you forget who you are, the human spirit finds ways to persist, to connect, to affirm its own worth. As the hearth's embers slowly begin their descent, signaling the inevitable return to the world of duties, you feel a quiet strength gather within you. This brief, profound respite is not an end, but a vital pause, a moment of profound human connection. It is the enduring power of community, a silent, terrifying defiance against a world that seeks to define you solely by your labor. And in these precious, fleeting moments of shared rest, you reclaim a piece of yourself, a resilience that will carry you through the coming dawn, through the unending demands, a quiet testament to the unyielding spirit of those who truly built and kept the world of royalty alive.